Chapter 233. Are you free today? What is it? The weather is so good. Do you want to go to Fengzhou Park to read? You bring a copy of The Exile of Love. I bring a copy of Paradise Lost. Let's swap. So you like reading this kind of literature? No, I'm just interested in the female lead, Rinko. Is that so? Unfortunately, I have no interest in Watanabe. Please make it clear. You're not interested in Watanabe, right? Not interested in Watanabe. You don't lie, and you don't tell the truth, Miss Kiyono. You're really something. I deliberately didn't say, I'm interested in the female lead, to tease you, and you're teasing me. I'm a bit surprised that you didn't say it. It doesn't fit your playboy character that likes to tease girls. I'm only flirting with Casino-san. Well, that's right. What right? I've never had that kind of character. Anyway, you were going to say, I'm just interested in the female lead at first, and then you hesitated for a while, thinking that you have a girlfriend, so you changed Rin to Rinko, using a tactful way to express your infinite love for me. You're monitoring me? Or are you really a god? What is infinite love? I know exactly what you're thinking, Piety. She's the most special, above everything else is her, my god, Rin Kiyono, my believer. Tell your god, what time? 9 o'clock, lunch is on me. I'll let you eat the fish I caught with my own hands. Fishing? Aren't you going to read? Didn't I tell you? I'm going fishing with a book. You don't lie, and you don't tell the truth, Kun Watanabe. You're really something, proud, the great Toru Watanabe. Cold eyes, Toru Watanabe. Paul Ekman's lying? Praise, the well-read Toru Watanabe. Miss Kiyono, I think you need to learn from me how to praise people. Oh. Even your fingertips have a beautiful color. How about this? Today we're going to read Kawabata Yasunari's book. The well-read Ah-san. See, what do you think of my way of praising people? Using a famous quote to get caught and pretending to be your own strategy is indeed a good way to ease the awkwardness. It's hard to hate. 9 o'clock. Fengzhou Park. One of the Gulf of Tokyo must sink today. Looking forward to it. Toru Watanabe was wearing a t-shirt with an abstract picture printed on it. He was wearing a red and black shirt, which was still open in front. It was bought by Mickey. He was wearing a pair of navy casual pants. After changing his clothes, he picked a book by Yasunari Kawabata from the bookshelf. When she passed by the living room, she saw the champagne roses on the table. They had been delivered today. He went out, took the roses, and tucked the neatly trimmed branches between the books. It was as if a rose had grown out of the book. Toru Watanabe thought for a moment, then took the flowers out. He only plucked a petal and left it in the book. He put on his shoes at the entrance, slung the fishing toolbox he had prepared earlier, and set off. He took the Sobu line to Yurakucho, and then got off at Fengzhou Station. Today in Tokyo, traffic control was implemented in many areas. The marathon was starting today. The weather was very good. It was clear, windless, and a good day for the sun. Walking out of the station, not far ahead, under the shade of a beech tree, there was a bench. Rin Kiyono was sitting there, reading a book. She was wearing a blue and white trench coat, light blue jeans, and her beautiful black hair fell to her waist. Her outstanding beauty and mysterious temperament made people unable to get close to her. The sun rose, and light covered the eastern hemisphere. But in the eyes of the passers-by, it was as if the sun rose for Rin Kiyono alone. All the light was concentrated on Rin Kiyono alone. And that beech tree. It was obviously a tree that could be found everywhere, but only that one tree, as if it was specially planted to shade her from the sun. Toru Watanabe stepped forward. Aizu no dancer? He looked at the book in her hand. You've read it. Rin Kiyono raised her beautiful white face. Taking this opportunity to review the book I've read, it's also very interesting. Toru Watanabe took out the book he had brought. Have you read it? Girls Harbor? It tells a delicate story. Sankianko first became sisters with Yoko, and tactfully rejected Yoko. After Sankianko and Yoko spent a happy time together, they went out for a vacation and were attracted to Yoko. In the end, the three of them became good friends. Your thinking is really simple. Rin Kiyono took the book and stood up. Simple refers to the thinking of life, it's a kind of pursuit of the state of mind. It's not ignorance, it's a kind of state after getting rid of the hustle and bustle of life. Toru Watanabe also took Aizu no Dancer. It seems that you have a problem with understanding, then I'll be more straightforward, you're too naive. Naive, pure, sincere, without any pretense or hypocrisy. Rin Kiyono sighed helplessly. Watanabe, please have some self-awareness. Were you scolding me with your naivety and innocence just now? The two of them walked side by side towards Fengzhou Park. The sky was so blue, the trees were so green, and the smell of Rin Kiyono's shampoo was so fragrant. They entered the park, passed through the lawn full of children and adults, and went down the slope full of cherry trees, and came to the Tokyo Bay. There was no beach here. The bottom of their feet was a cement walkway, and the Tokyo Bay was separated by a guardrail. Looking around the guardrail, many people chose to come here to fish in this weather. Toru Watanabe picked a spot with a bench. Rin Kiyono sat on the bench and watched him crouch down to assemble the fishing rod. "Why are there so many hooks?" she asked. "Maybe it's because I'm a playboy." Toru Watanabe answered without looking up. Rin Kiyono glared at him in annoyance. After Toru Watanabe assembled the fishing gear and threw the hook into the Tokyo Bay, she began to read. Turning to the first page, she saw a rose petal, neither too strong nor too light. She couldn't help but reach out her slender fingers and gently stroke the delicate petals. Her beautiful face softened. Looking up, the young man in front of her muttered, wondering if he could catch fish in this place. She retracted her gaze, smelling the cherry blossoms in the distance and the rose nearby, and began to read Girls' Harbor. This was a day not long after the grand entrance ceremony. After throwing the hook into the sea, Toru Watanabe stood by the white guardrail. He read 2 sentences of Aizu's Dancer, glanced at the bobber, looked at the sparkling Tokyo Bay for 2 seconds, and then glanced at the Rainbow Bridge in the distance twice. The sound of Rin Kiyono flipping through the pages of the book could be heard regularly in his ears. Blue sky, white clouds, pink cherry blossoms, green lawns, warm sea breeze, warm sun, azaleas blooming in the flower beds in the distance. Fishing in the Tokyo Bay was a test of patience. Fortunately, Toru Watanabe came here to read, so he didn't care at all about the fact that he only caught 2 pieces of kelp and a medium-sized sea bass. But someone cared. "I saw someone catch a baby shark," Watanabe classmate. At noon, Rin Kiyono said to Toru Watanabe, who was packing up the fishing gear, "I forgot to make a nest. Otherwise, don't mention the baby shark, the baby shark's father, big and small sharks, I'll catch them for you today." After packing up the fishing gear, he said, "Next, let's go to the restaurant I booked. You can bring your own fish there, and the chef will help with the cooking. You usually bring the best fish there? Some things are good to know. There's no need to say it out loud. This is the secret to keeping a happy mood for your believers." The two walked along the guardrail, along the Tokyo Bay, and walked out of the park. "Can I order other dishes?" Rin Kiyono held the book in her arms like a literary girl. "You can order other dishes, but you can't look down on my sea bass. It's not like you don't understand what I'm saying. I caught this for you with my own hands. You should feel happy, not disdain. Don't make it difficult for me, Watanabe classmate. You know I only tell the truth." "What truth?" "I think you're deliberately mocking my fishing skills, right?" "I can't deny it. You're not cute at all," Toru Watanabe said. Rin Kiyono turned her head and said with a slightly smug smile, "Lies." Behind her, the budding magnolia swayed with the wind. "It's the truth." Toru Watanabe forcibly quibbled without any will to resist. Coming to the side of the road, he casually grabbed an azalea flower from the flower bed and sucked the nectar of the azalea flower. As he sucked, he said to Rin Kiyono, "When I was a child, it felt very sweet, but now it doesn't taste at all." Sure enough, people are happy when they're young. There aren't so many things. A piece of candy can make people happy for a while. Growing up also has its happy moments, and people have to grow up. Rin Kiyono said. That makes sense. Toru Watanabe nodded. When I was in the village, climbing trees and catching crabs every day were very happy. After coming to Tokyo, there are also happy things. For example, you and Kiyono classmate came to fish today. So you really asked me to accompany you to fish. Mainly to treat you to a meal. At noon in the spring, Tokyo Bay became very beautiful. The scene of a boy and a girl walking side by side was like a scene from a manga. Leaving Toyosu Park, when crossing the zebra crossing, passers-by looked at them. Toru Watanabe's expression didn't change. He was accustomed to this kind of thing. Rin Kiyono glanced at the big red azalea flower in his mouth. After walking for 5 minutes, they arrived at the door of the restaurant that they had booked in advance. Toru Watanabe helped to open the door. Rin Kiyono took the lead and walked in. When the two passed by, she said, "Azalea flower." Toru Watanabe didn't react at first, then he lowered his eyes and quickly took the azalea flower from his mouth. The waiter led the two to sit down, ordered for them, and then confirmed the method of cooking sea bass. Finally, he took the fish and left. You already knew? Toru Watanabe asked Rin Kiyono about the azalea flower. Yes. Rin Kiyono nodded. Why didn't you remind me earlier? It's not a big deal. Besides, I wanted to see you lose face. Are you a sadist, R-san? I don't think so. Rin Kiyono rested her chin on her hand and muttered, I only want to bully you and see you lose face. I'm not interested in other people. That doesn't count? So what if it does? So what if it doesn't? Aren't you happy that I'm scolding you? I don't. Toru Watanabe wasn't very confident. He secretly glanced at Rin Kiyono's expression, wanting to know if he was telling the truth. Rin Kiyono took a sip of her lemonade and watched Girls Harbor. It seemed that she had guessed correctly. Toru Watanabe, who couldn't get an answer, could only look around the restaurant in boredom. The table was covered in white and shiny tablecloths, and there was a considerable distance between each table. Even though it was noon, all the lights were on. There was no music, and the customers were chatting in low voices, making the restaurant even quieter. Actually, from the wine on the menu and the waiters who were in charge of pouring the wine, it was easy to tell that this restaurant was expensive. The last time they ate, they had a total of 1,946 yuan worth of wine from Food Fragrance Pavilion, which was completely different from this. But no matter how different it was, for Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono, this was a restaurant where they could eat whenever they wanted. The price wasn't part of their consideration. After a while, the waiter brought over the steak that was grilled to perfection. There was also lightly grilled abalone and sliced oranges on the side. Rin Kiyono closed the book, carefully put it aside, and began to enjoy the steak. What have you been doing recently? Toru Watanabe asked. Shopping, buying clothes, buying shoes, mostly reading books and watching movies at home. Rin Kiyono used the knife with precision and elegance, and the way she put the steak into her mouth with a fork was attractive. You didn't travel? In this season, there are people everywhere in Japan, and the whole world came to see the cherry blossoms. I don't want to go abroad. I'm the same, staying at home all day. Rin Kiyono drank a mouthful of lemonade. You didn't go to find your Mickey? Mickey, my Mickey is abroad. So you came to find me? What's the reason? Toru Watanabe asked strangely. I told her about buying roses, and I wanted to invite you two to perform the real-life version of Girls Harbor, but she went abroad. She didn't say anything? Rin Kiyono looked at him meaningfully. Since you care about her so much, you can go find her yourself. Toru Watanabe said with a smile. Seino Lin didn't pay any attention to this kind of teasing question and continued to focus on cutting his steak. Toru Watanabe took a bite of the steak, and the waiter served steamed sea bass, which smelled delicious. Miss Kino, hurry up and try it. This was personally caught by a handsome guy from Tokyo. If you take it out to film, it's more expensive than Warren Buffett's lunch. You can't buy lunch with me even if you have money. If you want to be narcissistic, please wait until school starts. You can take a break during the holidays. Rin Kiyono ignored Toru Watanabe, drank a mouthful of lemonade, and then picked up the snow-white fish with her chopsticks and put it in her soft cherry-colored lips. Rather than saying that she was tasting the sea bass, it was more like the sea bass was tasting her tongue. It was really enviable. Rin Kiyono's beauty had reached this level. How is it? Toru Watanabe asked. The cooking is so-so, the ingredients are too bad. The chef is going to take out a knife to kill someone. It doesn't matter, you will block the knife for me anyway. Gentle reminder, you just said that the ingredients I provide are too bad, guess who I will help? Help me. Rin Kiyono was so confident that she played it down. Correct. Toru Watanabe gently clapped, his face full of admiration. Rin Kiyono didn't comment on his exaggerated acting, and stared at Toru Watanabe's back. What are you looking at? Toru Watanabe turned his head. The family of 3, followed by Mayasahi. Also, the restaurant had unknowingly turned on the TV, the volume was very low, and it was broadcasting the last moments of the marathon. I know him. Toru Watanabe pointed at the black man who crossed the finish line first. Releasa once ran with me. In terms of achievements in running, I ran with him before, would be more appropriate. Sano Rin's gaze met with Lina Asami's as she looked over. Chapter 234. Wow, this place is great! Exclaimed the little girl who looked like a middle school student. Lihua, Mommy picked this place especially for you, said the person who looked like a father with a smile. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Mommy. The little girl's voice was as cheerful as a lark. If there's anything you don't understand in school, you can ask your sister, said her mother. Okay. The little girl smiled at Mayasahi and said, Sister Mai, please. Mayasahi nodded lightly. The waiter led the 4 of them to their reserved seats, which were neither too far nor too close to Toru Watanabe. Speaking of which, Rin Kiyono retracted her gaze from Mayasahi and looked at Toru Watanabe. You haven't told me about your relationship with Mayasahi. You don't want to tell me? That's not it. Toru Watanabe said, Didn't I tell you when we were camping during the winter? As long as you want to know, I'll tell you. Are you trying to remind me of what I said before? If you don't want to talk about it, I won't ask about it. Whether I want to talk about it or not depends on whether you want to know. Rin Kiyono cut the beef with a knife. Go ahead. Why don't you take a guess? Lover? Rin Kiyono put the beef into her mouth and glanced at Toru Watanabe. It was too fast. Yes. Toru Watanabe nodded. Rin Kiyono was just his friend. There was nothing to feel guilty about, right? Rin Kiyono chewed regularly and continued cutting the beef with her knife. After 3 seconds of silence, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but ask, Don't you have anything to ask? Miki Kujo should be the one having a headache, not me. Rin Kiyono continued eating. Indeed, it had nothing to do with her, but... Can I talk about what happened between me and Senior Mai? You don't have to report everything to me. It's not necessary. Are you angry? Toru Watanabe was happier than before. I've never been angry. I'm just occasionally annoyed. Rin Kiyono took a sip of water. You don't have to worry about me. Kiyono, give me some time to explain. I'll leave after I finish eating. Rin Kiyono continued to eat the remaining half of the steak. The story between me and Senior Mai started from the Battle of the 4 Northern Islands. Toru Watanabe told the whole story to Rin Kiyono. Of course, he skipped over what happened that night. By the time he finished speaking, the steak was already finished. Rin Kiyono gently wiped her lips with a towel and confirmed in a flat voice, You've gone so far and rejected her so many times, but she's still not willing to give up? If it weren't for this, I would never betray my Kei-san. In order to adhere to my principles, even you are just friends. Rin Kiyono remembered what Toru Watanabe said when the two of them were lying on the high-class snow trail during the winter camping. If there's a next life, let's meet earlier. There was indeed no reason for someone who rejected a beautiful girl like her to look for someone else. Toru Watanabe was a gentle person. She knew this from the time they met at the Shinagawa Aquarium. Toru Watanabe was such a person. He deliberately said that he was afraid of Miki Kujo, was greedy, and sacrificed his reputation to save others. But Masahi's actions also surprised her. She knew that he wanted to kill her, but not only did she not resist, but she also reminded him to use succinine and not leave any traces. Such an incredible thing actually happened to her. Speaking of incredible, wasn't she even more incredible? Then what are you going to do now? She asked. Since we've decided to be together, I naturally can't let her down. What about Miki Kujo? Toru Watanabe took a deep breath and slowly sighed. There will always be a way. In any case, I won't let any of them leave me. You mean, if you're not discovered, you're going to keep hiding it from Kujo? Toru Watanabe was a little embarrassed. As expected of the god Kiyono, who could see through lies, she could always grasp people's innermost thoughts. Yes. Toru Watanabe could only nod. How can you say something like that? Good bad, I don't want to hide it from you. Rin Kiyono's mouth curved up. It was a smile. But to see a smile from above was tantamount to seeking water from the yellow sand on the surface of the desert. So. Toru Watanabe looked directly at Rin Kiyono. What are your thoughts right now? What thoughts could I possibly have? Rin Kiyono retracted her deadpan smile. Her expression returned to normal. After a long while, she asked. If one day you discover that you like me more than Miki Kujo, and you kneel down and beg me to go out with you, would you be willing to break off all contact with them? Kneel down and beg me to go out with you. Toru Watanabe knew what she meant, but her method of throwing a tantrum was truly unique. That day won't come. We'll always be the closest of friends, Toru Watanabe stated. He then explained, ever since the incident with my senpai, I've decided that I won't smile at other girls again, nor will I go out with other girls again. You make it sound so nice. Rin Kiyono nodded. Then can you guarantee that you'll never kneel down and beg me to go out with you again? I'm determined to do so, but I can't guarantee it. Since you can't guarantee it, then it's possible. Rin Kiyono continued, when that day comes, what do you intend to do? She raised her right index finger, and her left index finger and middle finger. Which side will you choose? By the way, Rin Kiyono spoke up again, do you have anyone else? Say it all together. No. I really don't have anyone else. I'm a good person. A good person? Rin Kiyono sneered. Choose. Toru Watanabe felt that her calm tone was terrifying, but there was also a faint feeling of being spoiled. What was with this feeling? Is it very difficult? Rin Kiyono asked when she saw that he remained silent. It's very difficult. Toru Watanabe nodded. Then let me analyze it for you. She looked at her right index finger. You'll have to give up on 2 people in the source, and there may be a 4th or 5th person in the future. Choose this side. She turned to look at her left hand. 2. No, with Miki Kujo's intelligence and ability, she'll be discovered sooner or later, and then based on her jealousy and possessiveness. You know better than me what will happen to Masahi. She retracted her hands, took a sip of lemon water, and looked at Masahi. Just as Toru Watanabe said, there was a wall between her and the other 3 people in the reorganized family. It was partly because of her parents, and partly because of Masahi's cold personality. Masahi looked over, and the 2 of them exchanged glances. Will you tell Miki about me and my senpai? Toru Watanabe asked. That's not my business, and I don't like to spread other people's private affairs. But Rin Kiyono looked away. I have nothing to do with her, and I'm not as gentle as you. In the future, I won't interfere with anything that Miki Kujo does to her. I'll protect her, Toru Watanabe said. You mean choose them? Toru Watanabe was speechless. After a moment of silence, he said, "I've already let Mickey down once. Then be prepared for the second time." "What do you mean? Are you looking down on me? I can feel your feelings. Soon, you'll love me so much that you'll kneel down and beg me to be with you." "Where did you feel that from? Why don't I feel it? Or, are you starting to lie?" "Look at our chat history today," Rin Kiyono said as she drank her lemon water. Toru Watanabe took out his phone and scrolled through it. It's nothing. He didn't feel anything when he sent it. He felt like he had a lot of fun chatting, and his hands moved faster than his brain. "Watanabe-san," Rin Kiyono put down her cup. "Please be prepared to break off your relationship with them, and think of the lines you'll say when you kneel down and beg me." "You're really confident." Watanabe was speechless as he put away his phone. At this time, there was a sudden commotion. The two of them looked in the direction of the noise and saw Masahi's mother angrily leaving. Her husband hurriedly followed. The little middle school girl looked at Masahi, who was still standing there, and then looked at her parents. She picked up her parents' coat and bag and ran after her mother. The waiter carefully walked towards Masahi, who was alone at the table, and whispered something to her. Masahi didn't say a word. She picked up her bag and walked towards Toru Watanabe and sat down at the table. Toru Watanabe rang the bell and called the waiter. "Please give me 3 servings of veal from Normandy, roasted snails with burgundy vanilla sauce, tender chicken soup, cold fresh base fillet, and dry roasted snapper." "Okay, please wait a moment." After the waiter left, Toru Watanabe held Masahi's hand. He didn't ask what happened and only said, "I'm here. I'm here." "Che." Masahi held his hand tightly and looked at him without blinking. "How long are you going to hold hands?" Rin Kiyono looked coldly at the two of them holding hands. Toru Watanabe let go of her hand awkwardly. Masahi was still looking at him. Rin Kiyono glanced at Masahi. He vaguely felt that something was wrong with her before, but he didn't realize that there was something wrong with her to this extent. "What happened just now?" Toru Watanabe asked. "I told them not to give me living expenses and rent. They asked why, and I said I'm a kept woman. They want to cut ties with me." Masahi's words were simple. Her voice was emotionless, as if she was talking about someone else's business. "Kept woman?" Rin Kiyono couldn't help but sneer. He said to Toru Watanabe, "You're even more stupid than I thought. You dare to use Miki Kujo's money to buy things for other women. It seems that you're going to end soon." "Che." Masahi tilted her head slightly. "Don't worry. I used my own money, and Miki won't be able to find out." Toru Watanabe comforted her. Masahi nodded. She believed in his words unconditionally. Rin Kiyono's slender fingers touched his chin. He said to himself, "When it's my turn in the future, I'll have to pay attention to this." "You're thinking too much." Masahi looked back and forth between the two of them. Her eyes revealed a hint of doubt. She asked in a flat voice, "Che isn't with her?" "With who?" Toru Watanabe didn't understand. "Rin Kiyono. When did the two of us get together?" Toru Watanabe couldn't understand. "The band said so." Masahi answered. "Don't they know that Miki and I are dating?" "They know." "Then why are there rumors that Kiyono and I are together?" "Che also has me." Masahi's tone was indifferent. At this moment, it sounded a little naive. Toru Watanabe was speechless. Rin Kiyono stared at him with a mocking sneer. Seeing her smile, Toru Watanabe's heart suddenly felt at ease. Or rather, he pretended to feel at ease. He said casually, "Forget it. No matter what, rumors are still rumors. Let them talk." The waiter began to serve the dishes. The three of them ate intermittently. After eating, Masahi decided to go find her biological father and cut off their relationship. "I'll go with you," Toru Watanabe said. "No need." Masahi shook her head. "I've already caused trouble for Che." After spending some time together, Toru Watanabe knew her personality. Once she made a decision, she would stick to it until the end. For example, making a cake. It was Toru Watanabe who had suggested that she do this, but she had failed 4 times in a row. Either she couldn't send, or she retreated. Toru Watanabe had also advised her to take a break, but she still insisted. After my Asahi left, Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono returned to Fengzhou Park. They planned to finish the rest of the book while basking in the sun. Her behavior and mentality are very suitable for a lover. No wonder you can't bear to part with her. Rin Kiyono said. It doesn't matter if she's not suitable. I can't bear to part with her because I promised to be her family. Rin Kiyono sighed helplessly. I don't know if I should call you a scumbag or a responsible person. Humans are complicated animals. The interpersonal relationships derived from humans are even more complicated. The Human Observation Department has one more project to investigate if Toru Watanabe is a scumbag. I'm already very grateful that you didn't directly label me as a scumbag, Toru Watanabe said. Because I know whether you're lying or not. I understand your mentality when you make a choice. If it was Miki Kujo, no matter how you explain it, it would be useless. That makes sense. Toru Watanabe nodded. Wait, was that one of your methods to make me fall in love with you? You can think of it that way. You obviously don't have such thoughts. When faced with other people's praise, you didn't even blush when you acknowledged it. Kiyono-san, your shameless appearance is also very likable. Thank you. I also like myself very much. After entering Fengzhou Park and walking on the green lawn, they saw familiar faces. It was my Asahi's mother and the other 2 who had just left. The girl named Rika was chatting with a girl of the same age in the distance. My Asahi's mother and her husband were whispering something. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono happened to hear a part of it when they passed by. Actually, after cutting ties with I'm also relieved. I've finally gotten rid of a burden. I can now focus on being together with you and Rika. It's been hard on you. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe, who had a calm expression, and subconsciously comforted him. Children who wish for their parents to disappear quickly after they grow up. Parents who wish for their children to die of illness. These kinds of people exist everywhere. Toru Watanabe turned his head and looked at Rin Kiyono's clear eyes. Kiyono-san, I will save you, no matter if it's Tokyo Bay or the River of Life. Rin Kiyono's expression became gentle as she spoke gently. Is this your plan to cheat on 3 men? Hey, how are you? I'm great. Toru Watanabe waved to someone in the distance. After greeting them, he turned his head and smiled at Rin Kiyono. Trams. I really like trams. In the future, my dream is to become a professional tram photographer. Where's the Prime Minister? I'm not doing it. Where's the handsome guy from Tokyo? These 2 don't conflict, right? In the direction that Toru Watanabe had just greeted, the Yuri Seagull monorail passed by under the clear spring sky. It was still a short time before the cherry blossoms bloomed. Chapter 235. A few days after the fishing trip at Fengzhou Park, the spring break was coming to an end. Ding ding dong, ding ding dong, ding ding dong. Miki. Starting tomorrow, I have 2 days off. Great, let's go to Aizu. Aizu? On Valentine's Day, didn't we eat at Aizu Hot Spring Hotel? Plus, I recently re-watched Aizu's Dancer, so I want to go there. Up to you. But, if I don't have a good time, I'll give you a massage, I promise you'll feel good. Shut up. Then what do you suggest? Let me think. Aizu's Dancer. How about this, if I don't have a good time, you put on geisha clothes and makeup and dance for me. Miki, have you read Kawabata Yasunari's other book? What book? Tokyo Man. Although I've only been in Tokyo for a year, I'm definitely good at pretending to be a Tokyo man. Miki Kujo didn't say a word. Hello? Miki. Beep, beep. The call was hung up. As the spring break was coming to an end, Toru Watanabe and his Mickey were preparing to head to Izu Peninsula. It was only one night, so he didn't bring anything. He would buy his clothes when he arrived. He thought Miki Kujo would be the same, but when she got out of the car, Shizuka handed him a bag. "What's this?" he asked curiously. "Kimono," Miki Kujo replied. She wore a light blue jacket with a hat. The front was open, revealing the t-shirt under the jacket. She wore a pair of simple black casual pants. Her figure was slender, and she looked beautiful and dashing. It was easy for her to exercise. Kimono. Toru Watanabe opened the zipper, and the gorgeous design came into view. "If I don't have a good time, you can wear it. I don't know if I'm thinking too much, but I feel like you're going to be unhappy from the start? That depends on your performance." Miki Kujo was in a good mood and took the lead to walk towards the station. "Let's go." "Wait a minute." Toru Watanabe threw the bag to Jing-Lu. "Send it to the hotel I booked. You can check the address yourself." "All right, prepare a change of clothes." After that, he caught up with Miki Kujo, regardless of Shizuka's expression, which looked like she was about to pull out her gun and kill someone. At Toru Watanabe's request, the two of them used ordinary means of transportation when they went out. Taking the Izu Express, they arrived at the first location. It was located in the eastern Izu Hot Sea. Izu is the place where cherry blossoms bloom the earliest in the year. As for the hot sea, don't say those useless things. Take me to dinner first, or I'll be unhappy. The two of them were walking on the road looking for food when they accidentally came to a path of cherry blossoms. The cherry blossoms on both sides of the road were tall and large. The branches reached the top of the road and connected the left and right. The gorgeous cherry blossoms turned the road into a natural tunnel. Toru Watanabe smiled and said to Miki Kujo, "It is said that couples who walk through this cherry blossom tunnel hand in hand will always be together and grow old together. Is there such a thing?" "Before I came, I did my homework," Toru Watanabe said proudly. "You didn't just make it up, did you?" Miki Kujo stared at him suspiciously. "Yes, I just made it up." Miki Kujo stared straight at him. Her eyes were full of pressure. "I mainly want to hold your hand." Toru Watanabe spread out his left hand. "Come on, sweetheart. Honey, if this happens again, I will divorce you." Miki Kujo said with a smile and put her right hand in Toru Watanabe's hand. "Quarreling is quarreling. Don't joke about divorce." Toru Watanabe's serious expression made Miki Kujo glare at him. It was as if the two of them were really married. The two of them walked hand in hand on the pink-dyed cherry blossom road. Toru Watanabe whispered something to Miki Kujo from time to time. Miki Kujo occasionally rolled her eyes at him, nodded in response, and occasionally looked at him with disdain. Unknowingly, her fingers reached into Toru Watanabe's fingers. The two of them could feel each other's 5 fingers and tacitly grasped each other's hands at the same time. This way of holding hands was closer and would not easily separate. The two of them found a high-end restaurant and ate casually. There are no attractions in the hot sea. It is only famous for its hot springs. "Do you want to go there?" Toru Watanabe asked. "You came all the way from Tokyo just to go to the hot springs?" "I'm not happy. Let's go to the next stop after we finish eating." Minami Izu, Shimoda. It was just a very ordinary city. It didn't have the night view of Roppongi, the luxury of Ginza, the trends of Shibuya, or the medieval shops of Harajuku. But the two of them were very happy walking hand in hand on the ordinary zebra crossing. The sun was warm, the streets were spotless, crystal clear, and even the number of pedestrians around them was not more or less. Everything was in its best state. The two of them did nothing but walk for half an hour on the road. On the way, Toru Watanabe hugged Miki Kujo and took a few photos. The background was the peach blossoms that could be seen everywhere on the roadside. "I'm not happy." Miki Kujo was tired. "We've been walking for so long." "Suddenly you're not happy?" "I'm happy when I walk." "Are you Forrest Gump?" "Forrest Gump is running." Miki Kujo's eyes sharpened. Let's go to the next stop. I'm tired. I'll carry you. Toru Watanabe bent down in front of Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo threw herself on his back and wrapped her arms around his neck. I feel a little better, she said in a pleasant tone. Then I'll carry you for the rest of my life, Toru Watanabe said with a smile. You mean, my leg is broken? No. Toru Watanabe walked towards the tram platform. I mean, your beautiful legs shouldn't step on the ground. Miki Kujo's lips came close to his ear, and her voice was melodious and charming. Where should I step on if not on the ground? Sister, be serious. Toru Watanabe's face was serious, and his hand patted her but through the casual pants. Because she was being carried, Miki Kujo's casual pants were tight, and her breasts were round and beautiful to the touch. Miki Kujo's right hand exerted strength, and strangled his neck. Die, I'm going to die, I'm really going to die. The tram from Shimoda to Kawazu was on the edge of the coastline. There were few people in the tram. The red seats facing each other, the carriage was clean, and the glass was transparent. Outside the glass, there was the blue sea. The closer they got to Kawazu, the stronger the smell of spring. The two of them sat on the same side, where they could see the sea. Miki Kujo lazily leaned her head on Toru Watanabe's shoulder. The sun shone on the tram walkway, just above their toes. Where are we going? She asked. Kawazu. Is it going to a hot spring again, or a place with nothing? Of course not. Toru Watanabe promised. In Kawazu, there is a unique early cherry blossom called Kawazu cherry. On both sides of the river, there are as many as 8,000 of them. To see cherry blossoms? The whole river, both sides are full of cherry blossoms, and you can't see the end of it. It stretches for 10 kilometers. It's average. How is it average? Toru Watanabe's right hand that was holding Miki Kujo slightly tightened, and the two of them were closer together. He continued, think about it, it's the end of March, when the wind blows, these early cherry blossoms will float down like rain, along the river to the Pacific Ocean. It's average. That's 10 kilometers of cherry blossoms. The Pacific Ocean. It's average. It's average, it's average. You'll know when the time comes. Toru Watanabe gritted his teeth, kissed her on the forehead, and hugged her even tighter. Miki Kujo snorted contemptuously and disdainfully, still letting him hold her. The tram shook, and the green sea outside the window hit the beach, splashing white foam. The tram arrived at Kawazu, and the cherry blossoms by the river bloomed. The pink flower belt that stretched for 10 kilometers was woven together with the sea, the river, and the people who were admiring the flowers. The two of them walked hand in hand among the cherry blossom trees, and finally stood at the end of a very island-style bridge. With Miki's drawing ability, you can definitely draw a cherry blossom landscape painting worth 1 billion yen with the river in front of you. Toru Watanabe waved at both sides of the river and said generously, even if you say something nice, it can't stop my bad mood. What's wrong now? Toru Watanabe turned to look at her beautiful and delicate side profile. You said it's cherry blossom viewing, but in the end, it's still walking. Miki Kujo glanced at him. According to what you said, traveling is also walking. That's right. Miki Kujo nodded. You really planned to be unhappy from the beginning, and played me. Who suggested coming to Aizu? Toru Watanabe was speechless, and gritted his teeth. Next stop. Last chance. If it still doesn't work, you have to obediently accept your fate, dress up as a geisha, and serve this lady. Why does it have to be a geisha? How about a samurai? Aizu no dancer. It was also you who suggested it, my Watanabe. Miki Kujo's mouth revealed a triumphant smile as she stared at Toru Watanabe. That proud and cunning beautiful figure belonged to him. Realizing this fact, a warm current flowed through Toru Watanabe's heart. He pulled Miki Kujo into his arms and cupped her cheek with his right hand. The two kissed on the bridge under the cherry blossom rain. The river was turbulent and flowed into the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean evaporated and became the river water of the river. After a long time, Toru Watanabe pressed his forehead against Miki Kujo's and said with a slightly hoarse voice, "I booked a hot spring hotel at Shuzhenji. Carry me." Toru Watanabe carried Miki Kujo on his back and walked along the river's cherry blossom path towards the beach's bus stop. Apart from cherry blossoms, there were also large patches of canola flowers in full bloom. "Bus?" Toru Watanabe asked in confusion. "What bus?" Miki Kujo asked. "Wait a moment." Toru Watanabe started running. Miki Kujo looked in front of her. In the distance, next to the blue road sign on the platform, a bus was slowly starting up. "Wait a moment," Toru Watanabe shouted as he ran. "Ha ha, good luck." Miki Kujo's delighted laughter was carried away by the wind. "Ah, make it." Unfortunately. Perhaps the bus was too noisy, or perhaps the driver didn't look in the rearview mirror, or perhaps the bus company didn't allow people to stop and wait, but Toru Watanabe still didn't make it. Damn it! Toru Watanabe's breathing was not disturbed at all. "Let me see." Miki Kujo peeked out from his back and looked at the bus stop. "You have to wait for an hour. Do you have any other reason?" "Kiss." "Did I let you kiss me?" Miki Kujo said coldly, "You kissed me without my permission. I haven't settled the score with you yet." Toru Watanabe didn't say anything. "The bus stop says there's plenty of soup in front. Let's wait there." Miki Kujo wrapped her legs around his waist. Okay, princess, sit tight. Watanabe horse will take you there." Toru Watanabe carried Miki Kujo on his back and walked along the beach road. The white clouds were sparse, and the Pacific Ocean on their left was endless. "Miki, can we talk about it again?" "No. Anyway, I've been very happy today. Even if I didn't catch the bus now, I still enjoy carrying you like this." "No." Miki Kujo's cheek lazily stuck to Toru Watanabe's back. "I like you." "No. I love you." Louder. Toru Watanabe looked around. The beach road was empty, only they were there. "I love you." "Who do you love?" "I love Miki Kujo." "Say it again." "Well, good, I love you too." "Then." "No." "Are you kidding me? When did I promise you?" Seeing that he didn't speak, Miki Kujo raised her head, bit his ear and said, "The agreement of I'll wear whatever you wear is still valid today." Geisha Miki, skin, unlock? "I love you." "Yes." "I love you." "Yes." "Jet aim." "Got it." "Timo." "Enough is enough." "Yajibliw." The wide-angle mirror on the side of the road reflected the two of them together. After walking for a while, they finally saw a sign with the word, "Foot Soup," written on it. Before they got close, they could see the steaming steam. There was free foot soup on the side of the road, and hot spring water kept flowing from the water pipe to keep the water clean and warm. "Soak for a while?" "Take off my shoes." Miki Kujo didn't get down, but stretched out her foot. Her tone was like an order, but also a little coquettish. Toru Watanabe took off her shoes and socks, and rolled up her pants to her calves. When he finished all this, Miki Kujo got down from his back, and her smooth and delicate feet stepped on the cobblestone floor. Toru Watanabe took off his coat and spread it on the stool. When he took off his shoes and socks, sat down, and put his foot into the hot spring, which was about 40 degrees, Miki Kujo didn't dare to put her foot directly in. "Is it so hot?" Toru Watanabe asked with a smile. Miki Kujo's foot touched the hot spring water, and immediately frowned and took it away. Toru Watanabe put his hand into the hot spring, cupped a handful, and gently poured it on her feet. Miki Kujo didn't avoid it, and could barely bear it. Toru Watanabe looked at her toes, which were clenched because of the hot water. "Miki, you're so cute. Do you want to eat? Let's talk about it tonight." With Toru Watanabe's help, Miki Kujo finally put her foot in. The two sat side by the hot spring. In front of them was the Pacific Ocean, behind them was the mountain scenery, and not far away were large cherry blossoms, and under their feet was the hot spring. This was the happiest moment of the day. Chapter 236. Shuzhenji is a famous hot spring town in central Aizu. It has the oldest hot spring in the entire Aizu Peninsula, and also the story of Aizu's dancer. The town is surrounded by mountains, and the hot spring hotel Toru Watanabe booked is also in the mountains. Their room was a harmony room facing the sea. I like it here. Toru Watanabe sat under the sunlight. Nearby, there are camphor trees, plum trees, and cherry trees. Far away, there is the Pacific Ocean. Miki Kujo lazily sat in the room. She said, in a melodious tone that was teasing, expectant, and mischievous, "Do you want to take a shower and then wear it, or wear it now? Look, the sea is so calm." Toru Watanabe pointed at the sea. "Then wear it now. Cherry blossoms." Toru Watanabe leaned out from the corridor. Just now a bird flew by. It looked like a skylark. Its tail was... "Come here." Miki Kujo's voice became cold, as she ordered. Toru Watanabe helplessly sighed, got up, and said, "Tonight, don't go back on your word." "When have I not fulfilled my promise to you?" Toru Watanabe walked in front of her, took off his clothes, and Miki Kujo put her hand on his trousers, and took them off for him. "Hoo!" Miki Kujo blew a long breath of hot air in that direction. His reaction was visible to the naked eye, which made her laugh. Toru Watanabe looked at her delicate lips, and restrained his evil thoughts. The kimono Miki Kujo brought was quite gorgeous. The kimono was red, and on the red background were colorful auspicious birds, and the sleeves were embroidered with black Kujo vines, which were very bright. "Come, put on the shirt first," Miki Kujo said with a smile. "Ah," Toru Watanabe wailed. Miki Kujo enjoyed his desperate expression as she closed the front of his shirt. And then the cloth socks. Miki Kujo squatted by his feet, turned the heel of the cloth socks outwards, and motioned for him to put his foot in. "Absolutely not, really," Toru Watanabe said firmly. "I'll help you put on your clothes. What else do you want? Hurry up." Toru Watanabe reluctantly put his hand on her shoulder and put his feet into the cloth socks. Miki Kujo carefully buttoned up his socks. "Good girl, the last kimono." Toru Watanabe had already given up struggling. He opened his arms and allowed Miki Kujo to dress him in a gorgeous red kimono. Miki Kujo couldn't stop smiling as she closed the front of her kimono and fastened her wide belt. "Take it off, it's definitely ugly." "How am I ugly?" "It's very nice." Miki Kujo tightened her belt, laughing so hard that she was about to cry. After she finished fastening the belt, she asked Toru Watanabe to squat down. Toru Watanabe sat down on the tatami. "That's not how a geisha should sit." "Come, let me teach you." Miki Kujo knelt on the ground with her hands folded on her knees. "Wait a minute." Toru Watanabe stood up, wearing his kimono, and walked to the eaves of the corridor. He poked his head out and looked around twice, confirming that this place was indeed close to the cliff and that no one would pass by. When he turned around, Miki Kujo was holding her stomach and laughing. The geisha sitting posture was completely gone. "Sure enough, I'll take it off." "Hurry up." Miki Kujo patted the side, indicating that he should quickly follow her sitting posture. In her stern tone, there was still an uncontrollable smile. Toru Watanabe had no choice but to kneel on the tatami obediently. "Put your hands like this." Miki Kujo reached out to correct his posture. "Your back like this." "Yes, very smart." After that, she stood up and took out a Takashimada-style wig. Her slightly cold hands lifted Toru Watanabe's bangs and put on the wig for him. After doing all this, she walked around Toru Watanabe admiringly, then suddenly remembered to take out her phone and take pictures of him like crazy. "You can take pictures, but you must not spread them." "Don't worry." "Come, bow with your hands on the ground and lower your head." "Very good." Then like this, Miki Kujo made a shy orchid gesture with her chin. "Not bad, not bad." Miki Kujo took out a folding fan and gently lifted Toru Watanabe's chin. The phone in her other hand was already in camera mode. So beautiful. I like you, Miss Watanabe, Miki Kujo said with a smile. Say that you like me too, quick. Miki Kujo pointed her phone at him. I like you too. Voice, pay attention to the voice. So beautiful. I like you, Miss Watanabe. Under Miki Kujo's sharp gaze, Toru Watanabe said in a gentle voice, I like you too. He was going crazy. Ha ha ha, don't be unhappy. Come, take a look for yourself. Miki Kujo held Toru Watanabe's hand as if she was holding a beauty. The two of them came to the full-length mirror. The clear mirror reflected the figures of two beauties. You're even prettier than the geisha we chose in Kyoto, the most beautiful geisha in Gion. Miki Kujo praised. It felt like a compliment to comfort the injured. It's all right. Looking at the beauty in the mirror and admiring his beautiful side, Toru Watanabe finally felt a little comforted. He shook the long sleeves of his kimono and said, How am I prettier than Miki? You're so beautiful. How can Miki compare to you? Miki Kujo was very cooperative. Toru Watanabe humphed proudly. No matter if it's men's or women's clothing, no one can compare to me. What Miki Kujo? What Rin Kiyono? They're just a mob. Beautiful, you're beautiful. Miki Kujo's smile hadn't stopped since the beginning. As expected, I still took it off. Toru Watanabe reached out and took off his wig. Halfway through, he suddenly realized something and turned to look at Kujio Miyoshi. This kimono's size is mine. What about you? I'm not wearing it, she answered matter-of-factly. You're not wearing it? Toru Watanabe raised his voice slightly. I trusted you so much. I looked forward to it so much. You actually lied to me. What's the hurry? Miki Kujo glanced at him coldly. There's one more thing. That's good. Toru Watanabe breathed a sigh of relief. After a long time, the sunlight on the other side of the corridor was dyed red. The sea was rippling, and the wind was blowing. There's still some time before dinner. How about soaking in the hot spring for a while? Toru Watanabe asked. Miki Kujo groaned and stretched her body after walking for a day. She spread her slender and soft arms. Help me change. I couldn't ask for more. Where's the etiquette I just taught you? The most beautiful geisha in Kyoto, Watanabe, helped the guest from Tokyo change. After putting on a bathrobe for Miki Kujo's snow-white and alluring body, Toru Watanabe could finally take off his kimono. The two of them put on their slippers. Toru Watanabe took a towel and clothes and went to the hot spring that belonged to this room. The hot spring comes from the mountain and flows into the Pacific Ocean. It's very clean. Before we came, I asked the boss to clean it up. It's okay. In the future, wherever we're going to travel, I'll build a house there first, or buy a new one. That will limit the fun of traveling freely and going wherever you want. Like this time, I'll get someone to change everything. I'll do as you say. The path leading to the private hot spring was planted with yoshike's flowers, ghost ferns, and phoenix pine. There was also a shallow stream as wide as a palm. Daffodils bloomed on both sides of the stream. The hot spring highlighted the natural appeal. The only artificial trace was the exquisite stone lanterns on the ground. The two of them took off their clothes and entered the hot spring. Their entire bodies were soaked in the hot spring, only their shoulders were exposed. They leaned against the hot spring and looked at the sea under the setting sun. The atmosphere was comfortable. It made one not want to speak. But because it was so rare, Toru Watanabe could not help but feel sorry for it. I really want to stay like this forever. Miki Kujo gently shifted her position. The hot spring rippled as she nestled in Toru Watanabe's arms. The steaming steam and the soft light intertwined together. It was a quiet evening. Other than the flow of the hot spring, only the sound of leaves rubbing against each other could be heard. After reluctantly soaking in the hot spring, the two of them returned to their room. They called the front desk and a waiter immediately served dinner. Sorry for the impoliteness. The two waitresses who walked in were both wearing light green kimonos, very suitable for spring. They knelt by the table and laid out the dishes at a leisurely pace. Their movements were elegant. Every time a dish was laid out, one of them would gently introduce the origin of the dish. Abalone from Aizu, sweet melon soup from Shizuoka, fish from Lake Biwa in early spring, vegetables from a certain vegetable garden, lobsters from a certain place, and crabs from when they were caught. Their voices were soft and comfortable, just like rainwater hitting the blue tiles on a rainy day. When placing the chopsticks and towels, the waitresses would bend slightly, hold them with both hands, and respectfully place them in front of the two of them. Please enjoy. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. They bowed slightly, kneeled, and took a few steps back. Then, they stood up and walked to the door. After leaving the room, they bowed again to the two of them before gently closing the door. The room returned to silence. Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo in front of him. When will the geisha I ordered arrive? If she doesn't come soon, I'll be unhappy, he said with a smile. Miki Kujo glanced at him angrily, put down the chopsticks that she had just picked up, and turned to go into the bedroom. Toru Watanabe was left alone, but his heartbeat filled the entire room. After eating a mouthful of food, he put down his chopsticks again and picked up his tea to drink. He still wasn't satisfied, so he couldn't help but pour some sake. After drinking a few mouthfuls, his surging blood was slightly relieved. He began to eat the food one mouthful at a time. About 10 minutes later, Miki Kujo came out. She had her hair tied up behind her head with a hairpin. The kimono she was wearing was similar to what Toru Watanabe had worn before he took a shower. The bright red color and the geisha fan in her hand didn't look flirtatious on Miki Kujo at all. She walked slowly, her kimono skirt trailing slightly on the ground. It was a gorgeous sight. Under the bright yellow light in the room, she was like the most beautiful and noble woman in Big Oz. Toru Watanabe stared at her without blinking. Miki Kujo walked to his side and slowly knelt down. She picked up the wine glass and poured wine for Toru Watanabe with lowered eyes. At the same time, she said softly, "Master, what kind of dance would you like to see?" Toru Watanabe drank the wine in one gulp and controlled his emotions slightly. "Is there a dance where a woman can't sleep and misses a man?" "Yes," Miki Kujo answered softly. She put down the wine glass and got up gracefully. Toru Watanabe could only resist the urge to grab her slender waist and pull her into his arms by pouring wine for himself. Miki Kujo took a few steps back, pinched the hairpin between her index finger and thumb, and gently pulled it out. Her beautiful black hair cascaded down like flowing water. She opened the fan and sang as she danced. Black hair of black. Her voice was long and sorrowful, full of affection. Her figure was slender, and her dance was graceful. Her figure was graceful, coquettish, noble, and gorgeous. Occasionally, she would cover her face with her kimono sleeves and glance at Toru Watanabe with her beautiful eyes. "Come to my side." This was the first sentence Toru Watanabe said after watching the dance and listening to the song. Miki Kujo swayed her body like a red rose blown by the spring breeze. When she was almost in front of Toru Watanabe, she cried out and fell into Toru Watanabe's arms. Just as Toru Watanabe couldn't control himself and reached out to hold her in his arms, she pushed him away with both hands. "Master, I only dance and drink with you. I don't receive guests." She turned her head away slightly. The two of them were very close to each other. Because of the fall just now, her fragrant black hair was still on Toru Watanabe's chest. "Don't think about it. I just want to help Mississippi." As he said this, Toru Watanabe put his hand under her kimono skirt and kneaded her thigh through her white stockings. Miki Kujo pushed his chest with both hands to separate their bodies and shyly turned her face away. "Master, if you continue like this, I'm going back," she said in a childish tone. Okay, I won't touch you." Toru Watanabe raised his hands. Miki Kujo immediately smiled and said like a child, then I'll pour wine for master. Toru Watanabe drank the wine that Miki Kujo poured and asked, Miss, where are you from? I wait prefecture. Oh, that's a good place. I've been there. Master, where are you from? Miki Kujo picked up chopsticks for him with one hand and held under his chin with the other. Every time Toru Watanabe ate a mouthful of food, she would use her slender hands to pick up a towel and carefully wipe his mouth. Tokyo. I've been there too. When rich people celebrate their birthdays, they even asked me to dance. Amazing. It seems that you're very famous? Of course, I've also danced for many foreigners. Oh. Hello, I'm Kujo Miki. I'm very happy to dance for you. Chinese. Toru Watanabe nodded. Hello, I'm Miki Kujo from Hawaii, United States. Americans also watch Japanese dance. It's easy to cheat foreigners of their money. They don't know anything. Miki Kujo proudly raised her snow-white slender neck. So good. How old are you this year? 12 years old. Wait, let's change it. At least 14 years old? Miki Kujo giggled. I'm lying to you, I'm 14.5 years old. You actually dare to side with master? Toru Watanabe grabbed her warm little hand. Oh no, I'll be scolded. Miki Kujo pretended to withdraw her hand. Just touch my hand. I really can't. Don't you like me? Annoying, this is the first time you've seen me. How can you say that you like me? I'm not such a frivolous person. But I fell in love with Miss at first sight. Toru Watanabe put his face close to her and sniffed her neck. Because of the itch, Miki Kujo let out a sweet and heart-stirring laugh. Finally, she panted slightly and used her slender white fingers to push away Toru Watanabe's sniffing face. Guest, if you continue like this, I really have to go back. Okay, then can't I touch your hand? Toru Watanabe sat back down. Miki Kujo didn't say anything and poured him wine with her free hand. After dinner, Toru Watanabe only touched her little hand and smelled the fragrance of her hair. I'll take my leave. Miki Kujo bowed slightly and was about to stand up. Toru Watanabe reached out and grabbed her. Look out the window. What? Miki Kujo was still playing the role of a little girl and looked out the window innocently. What's blue on the sea? Where's the blue? Why can't I see it? Miki Kujo got up and walked over, searching the dark sea. Although she was looking at the sea, her attention was all behind her. She really seemed to have become a geisha who had to rush back and couldn't stay the night to deal with a guest who was trying to eat her up. Her body tensed up slightly. She didn't know when Toru Watanabe wouldn't be able to control himself. Just then, Toru Watanabe's footsteps sounded behind her. He was slowly approaching. Should he stand beside her or hug her from behind? Before she could finish her thought, a pair of arms circled around her from behind, like a big and soft net, catching her like a little bird. At that moment, in Miki Kujo's vision, the dark sea seemed to have really turned blue, and the bright yellow light in the room began to blur. In this blur, Toru Watanabe's face slowly came closer and kissed her gently on the lips. Miki Kujo retreated. But the more she struggled, the tighter Toru Watanabe held her. Their lips kissed, and she gradually became excited, and her face began to turn red. No, I have to go back. She finally turned her head to avoid Toru Watanabe's kiss. Toru Watanabe's face came closer again, and Miki Kujo was hugged tightly. She had nowhere to hide, so she could only keep her mouth shut. But those greedy lips didn't tease her anymore. Her hair was brushed aside, and something came close to her ear. Because she was afraid of being tickled, she curled up her body. Miki, I like you. The gentle whisper, mixed with the heat of his breath, tickled her earlobe and attacked her heart. Guest. I won't let you go. The man's words were already panting. Miki Kujo's body couldn't help but soften. Let me go. Ignoring her pleas, Toru Watanabe held her tightly and walked towards the tatami. I really can't, I have to go back. One of them wanted to leave, while the other was dragging her. Her kimono became more and more open, and when they entered the bedroom, her snow-white shoulders were completely exposed. Miki Kujo lay on the tatami, her hands crossed in front of her chest. She could only shake her head to avoid Toru Watanabe's kisses. No! Toru Watanabe searched for her lips, and reached into her skirt, and kneaded her thighs through her white stockings. She reached out to block him, and he took the opportunity to kiss her bare shoulders. She was about to lose control. Because she was avoiding the kiss, her hair became messy, and her forehead and neck were hot, and she was about to sweat. Just then, Toru Watanabe stopped all his actions. Miki Kujo lay on the tatami, her kimono in a mess. Toru Watanabe's hand was by her ear, and he looked down at her. The two of them were panting, and looked at each other quietly. In the next moment, Toru Watanabe suddenly hugged her even tighter than before. His hot breaths tickled her ear again. "Miki, my Miki, I want you." His deep, pleasant, persistent, and hoarse voice brought her an indescribable sense of comfort. Miki Kujo let go of her kimono, took away her right hand from her shoulder, and wrapped it around Toru Watanabe's neck. At the beginning of the battle, her kimono was still intact, and only her shoulders were slightly slipping. Halfway through, it was only with the help of the tightly tied belt that the kimono stayed on her body. When she was kneeling, the kimono appeared on the tatami in front of her. In the end, she was only left with white stockings. Toru Watanabe lay in bed, and Miki Kujo, brimming with satisfaction, snuggled in his arms. The atmosphere was quiet, comfortable, and peaceful. "Miki, ne-san, you really know how to play." Toru Watanabe smiled and kissed Miki Kujo's forehead. "You still have a lot to learn." Miki Kujo closed her eyes in satisfaction and enjoyed his kiss. She was sweating, and a strand of hair that was messy from the passion stuck to her cheek, like a black line that was meticulously drawn with a paintbrush. Her eyes were gentle, and her face was flushed with the color of spring. Toru Watanabe looked at her and couldn't help but hug her even tighter. Miki Kujo leaned against his sturdy shoulder and listened to his long breaths. She felt the warmth of his skin, and her heart was filled with happiness. "School is about to start," Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo didn't open her mouth, and she replied with a lazy "I'm looking forward to changing shifts," Toru Watanabe said again. Shall we continue? Then, Miki Kujo came to her senses and refused with the Her rippling voice had a different kind of charm in this warm spring night. Toru Watanabe couldn't control himself even if he wanted to. The next morning, it rained in Aizu. The two were too lazy to go out, so they stayed in the hotel. Occasionally, they soaked in the hot spring in the rain, occasionally hugged each other and watched the raining sea, and occasionally hid in the bedroom. They couldn't see anyone in the bedroom, and could only hear voices. In the afternoon, the two of them boarded the Aizu Express and headed back to Tokyo with April. Chapter 237. The spring sun shone through the gaps between the leaves on the emerald green beech tree branches. On the school road, the male and female students who hadn't seen each other for 2 weeks during spring break were laughing and joking around with each other. A gust of wind blew from afar, and cherry blossoms danced in the air. Toru Watanabe waved his hand and swatted away the petals that were about to land on his shoulder. "You hate cherry blossoms? Trying to guess everything about others just by looking at the scene in front of you, that's arrogance. Change it, Kiyono-san." Toru Watanabe turned his head and looked at Rin Kiyono in the rain of cherry blossoms. The slope, the cherry blossom tree, the brand new uniform, the dappled sunlight, and her beautiful figure. The guys who rode their bicycles to school suddenly became cheerful. They were still ringing their bicycles arrogantly just a moment ago. Rin Kiyono smiled gently at him. Toru Watanabe was so scared that he felt a chill run down his spine. "I'm just talking nonsense. Don't take it seriously." He stuffed his hands into his pockets and walked up the slope. Rin Kiyono followed him. The two of them walked side by side. The cherry blossoms were blown up by the wind and swirled around them. "Speaking of which, did you choose liberal arts or science?" Toru Watanabe asked. Science. Are you trying to tactfully express your infinite love for me? Toru Watanabe stopped in his tracks. You want to be in the same class as me? Or even the front and back tables? Rin Kiyono also stopped in her tracks. She revealed a cold expression, but it made her look even more charming. Toru Watanabe spoke again. Although you're indeed very beautiful, your hair smells nice, your skin is very white and delicate, and your waist is so thin that I want to hug you, especially your legs, the two of us really. Hey, I haven't finished speaking yet. Rin Kiyono's back was cold, and her long black hair swayed slightly in the spring breeze. This time, it was Toru Watanabe's turn to follow her. The two of them walked into the campus. The huge oak tree that was 25 meters tall had turned into a green hill in spring. After walking around the oak tree, they could see the bulletin board in the distance. It was packed with people. Most of the people who walked past them were discussing class assignments. Don't be assigned to Nagaoka's class. I heard that the original English teacher of class 3 was also very fierce. Super fierce. The first class of the semester would definitely start with 5 minutes of scolding. As for an English teacher, I think Mr. Koizumi is the best. No matter which teacher, I hope to be in the same class as Chuinjo. So you like him? I can't say that I like him. I just care about him a little. If he can be like Kuin Watanabe and confess to me in front of the whole school, I can reluctantly date him. Speaking of Kuin Watanabe, I really want to be in the same class as him. I also want to be confessed to by Kuin Watanabe in front of the whole school. At this time, Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono surpassed the two female students who were also about to become second-year students. Seeing Toru Watanabe, the two of them covered their mouths and embarrassedly leaned their heads together. They slowed down their pace and complained to each other that they didn't notice that Toru Watanabe was next to them. Changing classes is indeed a big deal for students. Toru Watanabe listened to the two's discussion and said, "A responsible teacher, a close friend, although it's a bit exaggerated, it's indeed a turning point." Rin Kiyono looked at the crowded bulletin board in the distance. But with Kiyono-san's personality, no matter what class you're in, you'll be able to live well. A true powerhouse won't be bound by the environment and time. But if possible, I hope that you can be with people who are close to you. After the age of 4 and before the age of 16, Rin Kiyono didn't have any friends. She was alone in the classroom, alone in the club. She never ate crepes or ice cream with girls who were close to her after school. When Toru Watanabe came, he accompanied her through the club and after school, but she was still alone for longer periods of time in the classroom. Rin Kiyono rested her chin on her hand and said with a smile, "You like me? You want to be in the same class as me? How did you come to this conclusion? Aren't you the one who's close to me?" "I'm talking about Mickey. You two have a bad relationship, but you're still close, right?" Rin Kiyono's beautiful face showed a faint, charming smile. "You want to be in the same class as the two of us?" Toru Watanabe imagined the scene. A girl came to talk to him, and Miki Kujo kicked him. He chatted with Rin Kiyono, and Miki Kujo, who was originally sleeping on the table, stared at him coldly from the crook of his arm. He chatted with Miki Kujo, and Rin Kiyono joined in. Then, the two of them naturally quarreled, and he was targeted. That's definitely not the future I want. Toru Watanabe missed the first day of liberal arts. While chatting, the two of them came to the notice board. There was a list of names on it, and the names of each class's homeroom teachers and students were written on it. There were many people in front, and the two of them couldn't enter for the time being. A girl standing in front of them saw the two of them and was about to move aside when Osamu Kunai squeezed out from the crowd. "Watanabe!" he shouted loudly. "The three of us are in the same class. Not bad." Toru Watanabe was also happy. "Your girlfriend is here too, Miki. Do you have other girlfriends?" Osamu Kunai scolded first. Then he noticed Rin Kiyono beside Toru Watanabe. He chuckled and lowered his voice. "Kiyono classmate is here too, don't worry." What a disgusting smile, and also, don't worry about what. I was just confirming. Wait, you said I'm in the same class as the two of them? Yes. This was definitely a covert operation. Could it be Miki Kujo? Or was it that flattering principal? If that was the case, Toru Watanabe could only hope that he could sit further away from the two of them. However, when he arrived at the second-year class 4 and found his assigned seat, Toru Watanabe wanted to quit school on the spot. There were 4 groups of seats. Rin Kiyono sat in the last seat of the third group, and Miki Kujo sat in the last seat of the fourth group, the last seat where she wouldn't disturb others even if she slept. As for Toru Watanabe, he was known as the main character's seat. That is, Rin Kiyono's seat was on the left, and Miki Kujo's seat was directly in front. With this arrangement, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but imagine the scene of 2 beautiful girls wearing police uniforms, watching over him. I'm in Hell, by Uchiha Obito. That's really interesting. Rin Kiyono's cute face had a smile that wasn't cute at all. Don't you think I'm very pitiful? Toru Watanabe said with a sigh. Not at all. Sure enough, only people with deep friendship would say such words. Rin Kiyono was about to say something, when a figure ran from the back door. Kiyono-san. Kuan Watanabe. We're in the same class. Good morning, Itsuki classmate. Rin Kiyono politely and coldly greeted her. In Toru Watanabe's eyes, she was telling Aoi Ichiki, even if they were in the same class, she didn't intend to be friends with her. Good morning, Kiyono-san. Aoi Ichiki's tone was cheerful. It seems that she wasn't a follower of Kiyono God, so she didn't understand God's will. In addition to her, there were many familiar faces in the classroom. Osamu Kanai, Keisuke Saito, the class leader who finally changed his glasses, and many members of the blowing club. Toru Watanabe roughly counted that there were about 10 people in the blowing club. In a class of 40 people, Rin Kiyono could command 10 people, and there must be more. She could almost rule the 4th class, right? The human observation department was really scary. After staying in the classroom for a little while, they immediately moved to the gymnasium to attend the opening ceremony. Miki Kujo didn't come today, but unlike last year, she didn't come to school until the first month of school. In the gymnasium, the newly enrolled first graders were lively and active, but they carefully observed the second and third graders. Toru Watanabe and Keisuke Saito chatted as they walked toward the second graders. Suddenly, a first grader shouted his name. Senpai. Watanabe. Senpai. A petite girl with short hair rushed over. Toru Watanabe and the other 3 looked at her. Senpai. Watanabe. Senpai. The little girl looked at Toru Watanabe excitedly. I passed and fulfilled my promise with Senpai. Excuse me, may I ask who you are? Toru Watanabe's eyes were puzzled. Gungue Disu. After that, the girl pretended to laugh eerily and cutely. Maybe she was imitating Gungue? Sorry, I like the iron shell. Senpai doesn't like Shinedu anymore. Who are you? How do you know that my ex-girlfriend is Shinedu? In that case, the girl spread her legs, straightened her right hand, and made a gesture of twisting a bottle cap. Let's celebrate. The King of Time is born. She gathers all the night's power in one body, transcends time and space, and knows the past and future. Transform. The girl's transformation was quite standard, and because she was a girl, she looked particularly cute. Ah, Toru Watanabe suddenly realized, I remember, you are Gungue. Masked Nighttime Disu. The girl paused for a moment, also Gungue Disu. On the stage, the leaders were already seated. Toru Watanabe said to the girl, Horikita-san, if you have something to say, we can talk about it in the performance department. Yes, senpai. After the girl left, the other 3 asked Toru Watanabe who she was. Is she your junior? Osamu Kunai guessed. How is that possible? Keisuke Saito denied. Watanabe is from Iwate Prefecture. Could it be a sister you met on the internet? The class leader said while pushing his glasses. Even if he changed his glasses, he couldn't seem to get rid of the habit of pushing his glasses. She watched my performance competition and admired my junior. Toru Watanabe explained in a tone that wouldn't cause any misunderstanding. I entered Koshien. Why doesn't anyone admire me? Osamu Kunai asked unwillingly. You only made it to Koshien, the class leader said lightly. Don't look down on Koshien. Do you know that many girls fall in love with a person only because the school baseball team entered the finals of the regional tournament last year? Yes. No one cared whether the school baseball team entered the finals of the regional tournament or not. The opening ceremony was carried out step by step. Next is the school song chorus, Stand Up. The performance department played a slightly modern melody. Four Valley Hills, the school where the crow flies, our alma mater, Kamigawa. Different from many high schools that didn't pay attention to the school song, everyone in Kamigawa had a deep sense of pride and took pride in singing the school song in various competitions. Because Kamigawa was the best private high school, a high school that didn't enter the Imperial University would be regarded as unqualified. The most typical example was the already graduated head of the performance department, Misaki Komatsu. In the national competition, even if Kamigawa entered the finals for the first time, she wouldn't allow the performance department to lose to those traditional performance schools. They were either very hardworking or very smart, and the rest were hardworking and smart. Kamigawa was such a disgusting school. After singing the school song, it was the freshman representative's speech. What Toru Watanabe didn't expect was that the freshman representative's name was Asaka Rika, Mai's half-sister. She inherited her parents' good genes and was very cute. She was a little nervous as she read the speech. After the opening ceremony ended, everyone went back to their respective classes. Everyone, return to your seats. Aona Koizumi walked in with the name list. Woo! The boys from Year 1 Class 4 cheered. The girls were also in high spirits. Quiet. Aona Koizumi purposely put on a serious face. He didn't know before, but now Toru Watanabe guessed that she must have learned this from Huang Zi. Yes. Towards Aona Koizumi, no one was in awe, but they all gave her face and answered loudly and in unison. I am Aona Koizumi, the teacher in charge of this class. From today onwards, I will take on the responsibility of guiding everyone. Woo! The boys changed their way of shouting. Everyone applauded. Koizumi Aonai held the podium with her hand. Her upper body quietly leaned forward, looking around at everyone. The classroom gradually quieted down. Toru Watanabe, who didn't put teacher Aona Koizumi's prestige in his eyes, suddenly realized that Aona Koizumi's chest under her professional suit was especially full and round. He didn't know how it felt to hold it from below. At this moment, he suddenly felt a cold gaze coming from behind him to his right. Are you kidding me? Seigo Rin was able to sense that as well. Is there any privacy left? Year 2 is a more relaxed period, but because of this, many people will think that there is still a lot of time, and it won't be too late to work harder in Year 3. It is this kind of mentality, this kind of time, is the crucial time for the candidates to widen the gap. Aona Koizumi tightened her beautiful oval face and talked about a lot of crisis awareness, emphasizing the importance of Year 2. Toru Watanabe rested his face on his left hand and glanced behind him. Rin Kiyono's expression was cold, but she was seriously listening. After Aona Koizumi finished speaking, she began to take attendance. After taking attendance, she sent out the route survey form. The survey form will be submitted in a week. If you don't write anything, you will be called for a life talk. Today was the opening ceremony, so everything was basically over. For the rest of the time, most of the students could go home directly. The rest of the club members who needed to participate in the competition had to immediately start practicing, such as the blowing club, baseball club, soccer club, and track and field club. As for whether there were other clubs, Toru Watanabe couldn't directly see them like the other 3 sports clubs, and he also didn't know the specific situation like the blowing club. At this time, he stood at the door of the teacher's office, waiting for Aona Koizumi and Huang Zi to come out. Then he and Miyuki Miyazaki would go back to the Shinano apartment for lunch. After a while, Aona Koizumi and Huang Zi came out. Watanabe, let's go. Aona Koizumi said. Okay. The three of them went to the infirmary. Miyazaki should have already arranged the medicine and equipment. Huang Zi yawned loudly. I'm so sleepy. She still hadn't adjusted her schedule from the holidays. Watanabe, Aona Koizumi said, this time, what are you going to write about the route survey? I guess it's a handsome Tokyo guy. Huang Zi wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. I'm now living the life of a handsome Tokyo guy. Toru Watanabe said. The life of a handsome Tokyo guy? What is it like? Aona Koizumi was slightly curious. Well, just as Toru Watanabe was struggling with whether or not to tell him about his life, the system that had not responded for a long time flashed. Temporary event. On April 2, 1103, Aona Koizumi wants to know the life of a handsome Tokyo guy. Event content. Let Aona Koizumi fully understand the daily life of a handsome Tokyo guy. Event duration. 1 month. Event reward. Based on Aona Koizumi's understanding. Accept/not. There was an additional accept/not. The system was patched? When did this happen? Forget it, this wasn't important. Toru Watanabe decided to accept the mission. Wasn't it to tell Aona Koizumi about Miyasahi? He had decided to do this a long time ago. Accept. Begin extraction. Integration. Extraction? Integration. Toru Watanabe rubbed his eyebrows and suddenly felt very sleepy. This was the first time he was so tired since he started training. Watanabe? What's wrong? This kid can't even open his eyes. He must have stayed up all night playing games. Aona Koizumi and Huang Zi's voices gradually faded away. The corridor of the school building became blurred and finally completely dark. Chapter 238. Miyuki, is Watanabe all right? Preliminary examination, everything is normal. But I heard that he suddenly fainted. Just to be safe, we should bring him to the hospital for a detailed examination later. Do you want to contact his parents? Aonai, don't be anxious. Let's wait for the examination first. If he's fine, wouldn't his parents be worried for nothing? Miyuki? Watanabe? Aonai? Where is this? When he opened his eyes, he saw a roof that he had never seen before. It clearly didn't look special, but the lines and clean walls gave him a sense of luxury. The tip of his nose smelled like a hospital. The tip of his nose. What's going on? Did he take such a long breath in the past? Aona Koizumi subconsciously touched his throat. His skin was smooth, his neck was strong and slender, and his pinky finger touched his collarbone. But what did his index finger touch? A bulge? A tumor? No, that's not right. It's an Adam's apple. Along with the panic and shock, Aona Koizumi felt that something was wrong. His chest, gone? Aona Koizumi patted his chest with both hands. The shirt's texture was fine and smooth, and the material was of high quality. But. The white rabbit that became super cute after entering high school was gone. Also, what was that strange feeling of discomfort between his legs that made his whole body tremble? Aona Koizumi pressed his left hand against his chest and reached out with his trembling right hand, slowly reaching into his pants. His hair, that was normal. But below, that long, thick, soft, and warm. Was this that? During the girls' biology class, the teacher had introduced that thing, but wasn't that something that only men had? Let's see how he's doing first. When he wakes up, bring him to the hospital. The curtains were pulled open. Aona Koizumi, Huang Zi, and Miyazaki Miyuki, the three 25-year-old female teachers, were stunned. The scene in front of them, Toru Watanabe touched his chest with one hand and reached into his pants with the other. His expression was blank. Aona Koizumi pulled the curtains shut again. This brat. Huang Zi's face quickly turned red, and he sounded a little anxious. How dare you listen to our voices and do that kind of thing? Listen to our voices. Aona Koizumi couldn't continue. Miyazaki Miyuki picked up the tissue box from her desk and threw it on the bed in dissatisfaction. Don't put it on my bed. That's right, we can't. No. Watanabe, you're not allowed to do that kind of thing in school. Aona Koizumi reacted and pulled the curtains open again. Aona Koizumi sat in the front passenger seat and looked at the unfamiliar scenery outside the window. The skylight was blocked by tall buildings. There were traffic lights everywhere, fashionable taxis, crowded overpasses, and all kinds of foreigners. The scenes before her eyes were too much for her to take in. Tokyo, one of the most prosperous cities in the world, #1 in all of Japan. Before he could finish looking, the car drove into the parking lot of an apartment building. Aona Koizumi couldn't wait to get out of the car and look up at the 10-story apartment. This is where I live? My? Aona Koizumi strangely repeated, Toru Watanabe. What's wrong with you today? Did you not sleep well last night? Aona Koizumi remembered. Now, she is he. The boy's self-title, servant? Me. Self. Clumsy. It should be servant. Servant. I live here? Aona Koizumi asked again. Yes, what's wrong with you? Aona Koizumi asked worriedly. Nothing. Aona Koizumi reminded herself that she couldn't do anything too normal, or else she would wake up from the dream. This was the first time in her life that she had such a real and clear dream. She definitely couldn't let it end so easily. By the way, is this your car? Aona Koizumi pointed at the car and said to Aona Koizumi. The person in front of her looked 70% to 80% similar to her, and her name was also Aona Koizumi. Her setting should be her after work. Not bad. Delicate eyebrows, eyelashes fluttering like butterfly wings, eyes as clear as a lake, neat black hair, seductive voice, lips that make people want to forcefully kiss, and I should read more novels. Aona Koizumi looked up and down at Aona Koizumi, using all the words she could think of to describe her. There had never been a woman who would praise another person so sincerely. I wonder how much is his annual salary? Is there a boyfriend who is breathtaking, even forgetting to breathe for a moment, casually joking with you, the corners of his eyes slightly raised, revealing a carefree expression? No one can guess what he is thinking in his heart? Aona Koizumi looked at Toru Watanabe's eyes that alternated between admiration and contemplation, and she frowned worriedly. Didn't I tell you before? This is the car that I, AKO, and Miyuki bought together. What's wrong? My memory is bad, I forgot. Aona Koizumi looked at the two people who came down from the back seat, AKO Fujiki and Miyuki Miyazaki. Why did she dream of the two of them? Although they grew up in the same school, there was only one elementary school, one middle school, and one high school in town, but the three of them almost never interacted with each other. Forget it, since it was a dream, anything was possible. But why did she dream of becoming a boy? She even became a teacher and student with herself? Even living in the same apartment? Could it be that she had the legendary Narcissus syndrome? She wanted to fall in love with herself, hug, kiss, and do that? Aona Koizumi looked at herself in front of her. She really admired her, but at most they could only hug each other, any more and she would feel disgusted. Only after entering the first floor of the apartment did she regain her senses. Sure enough, it was a dream. She felt that her brain was a lot more flexible. She could even remember the Narcissus syndrome that she accidentally saw a long time ago. However, wasn't the lobby in front of her too luxurious? Spacious sofa, huge chandelier, and even a fountain and free coffee. Aona Koizumi really wanted to rush over and take a picture, to touch the smooth texture of the sofa, but in order to make the dream last longer, she restrained her impulse and obediently followed the other three upstairs. 5th floor, room 501. Aona Koizumi sat at the beautiful and fashionable dining table, looking at the busy herself behind the counter. She felt very gratified. She was a good woman, even though she obviously didn't know how to do anything. Aonai, which university did you graduate from? Aonai. Ako Fujiki, who was watching a drama behind her, loudly repeated this name. Boy, are you crazy? Overindulgence? It doesn't look like it. Miyazaki Miyuki judged from a professional point of view. Aona Koizumi ignored these two people. Their relationship was not good. Why should she, her future self, cook? Aona Koizumi was tasting the saltiness of the miso soup. Wazida, I've said it many times in class. Wazida? The Wazida in Tokyo? Watanabe, what's wrong with you today? Do you want to go to the hospital? Aona Koizumi asked anxiously. But Toru Watanabe did not answer her question. He muttered something like, Wazida, I'm really daring. No, this is a dream, even if it's Tokyo University, it doesn't matter, and other nonsense. During the meal, although Aona Koizumi still wanted to ask about the topic of love, she was afraid that it would cause the people in her dream to overreact like before, so she gave up. She still wanted to go outside and see. At least once, she wanted to go to Tokyo Tower, Disneyland, Ginza, Dome, Clear Sky Tower, Shinjuku, Roppongi. If there's a god, please don't let me wake up. After finishing the meal, Aona Koizumi picked up her bag and prepared to go back to room 502 to check on her room. Before she left, she seemed to remember something and turned back to grin. She praised him. Aonai, it's delicious. The three of them looked at her in a daze, and Huang Zi, who was wiping his mouth, stopped. The scene fell into silence. Oh no, am I going to wake up from my dream? Aona Koizumi hurried out of room 501. The corridor was clean and bright, and there was a window at the end of the corridor. The light from the window sprinkled on an unknown potted plant in the room. Time was stable, and the world was peaceful. Good, she didn't wake up. Aona Koizumi opened room 502 with the key and said hesitantly, I'm back. No one answered. It seemed that there was no family setting. The layout of the room was similar to room 501, but the furniture looked more expensive. It was just that the aesthetics were terrible. She threw her bag at the entrance and ran straight to the balcony. There was a huge forest, a blue sky, and rows upon rows of tall buildings. A gust of wind blew, and his chest felt touched. Aona Koizumi used her hands as a loudspeaker and shouted, Ah! His voice was deep and resounding, and he shouted for a long time in one breath. After shouting, Aona Koizumi thought she was going to die, but after taking 2 deep breaths, her breathing immediately stabilized. Was this a dream? Too awesome. She became more and more excited. She ran back to the living room and sat down on the soft sofa. She touched it left and right. Although it was not aesthetically pleasing, it felt so comfortable to touch expensive things. Aona Koizumi put her feet on the low table in front of the sofa. The TV opposite her attracted her attention. In the luxurious apartment, among the expensive furniture, the television gave her a feeling that it was out of place and seemed cheap. Was her imagination not enough? After sitting for a while, Aona Koizumi patted the sofa twice and reluctantly got up. Although the apartment was good, she had to hurry. Thinking about whether to go to Ginza or Shibuya first, she went to the bedroom and prepared to change her clothes. Ah! It was an exaggeratedly large white bed. Aona Koizumi didn't have time to think. When she came back to her senses, her body was already lying on the bed. Even if it was a dream, it was too exaggerated. It was too soft, and it tasted great. No, I'm going to be killed. She was just about to go out to play, but in the blink of an eye, she was rolling on the bed for 5 minutes. This was not enough. Aona Koizumi really didn't want to leave the bed. She wrapped herself in the quilt and lay motionless on the bed. After a while, she searched her pockets and took out a mobile phone. After studying how to use it, she carefully unlocked it with her fingerprint according to the instructions. Amazing, I've always been using a flip phone. I've only heard of fingerprint unlocking, but I didn't expect it to be possible in a dream. After repeatedly unlocking the phone 3 times, she began to browse the apps in the phone. Apart from the usual ones, she only knew Line, so she subconsciously opened it. The chat history was blank. There were a few people on the contact list, but not many. She randomly found a girl's name, clicked on it, thought for a while, and typed, "Hello. What's the matter?" Aona Koizumi sat cross-legged on the bed, wrapped in the quilt. "Are you Miss Kiyono?" "Yes." "Yes." "Can you give me a picture of you?" "Yes." After waiting for a while, there was no reply. It seems that the people in line only know the simplest replies, but that's already amazing. She closed Line and chose another app to play. What app is this? Amazon. I can even buy things? Aona Koizumi adjusted her posture, lying on the bed, holding the pillow in her arms and kicking her legs. "Do you have money? Let's try it." She searched for a TV and randomly chose one. Sonys 9D, 100 inches, 258 meters long, 393 meters wide, 504 meters thick. Including tax, the total price is 7.5 million yen. She was still prompted to pay with her fingerprint. Aona Koizumi stared at the price on the screen without blinking. Then, she carefully put her hand on the screen. She rotated it twice, and the payment was successful. Amazing, amazing. Aona Koizumi threw the phone away, buried her face in the pillow, and shouted desperately, kicking the air with her legs. She panted slightly, calmed herself down, and immediately picked up the phone. Household, 60,000 yuan floor lamp. Buy, payment was successful. Ha ha ha. Jewelry, 160,000 yuan necklace. Buy, payment was successful. Aona Koizumi sat up with a whoosh. Buy. Top 50 sales. Buy all of them. Half an hour later, Aona Koizumi lay on the bed, satisfied. She felt that even if this Tokyo dream ended here, she had no regrets. Hee. She was extremely satisfied, and her mouth unconsciously let out a laugh. She fell asleep. In the next moment, he opened his eyes. Toru Watanabe looked at his messy bed and the blanket on the floor. Just now, he saw everything that Aona Koizumi did. Before he had time to complain about the system, he immediately remembered that the event would last for a month. If this continued, just a smile would be enough to cause a lot of trouble. He had to let the second-year Koizumi know the seriousness of the situation. At the very least, she could not simply smile. Also, she could not simply ask for photos. With this thought, Toru Watanabe prepared to leave a message on his phone and write down the things he should take note of. But just as he picked up the phone, a strong sense of sleepiness came over him again. "It's over." Toru Watanabe's body shook twice, and she opened her eyes. "Oh no. I almost woke up from laughing." Aona Koizumi touched the phone, but did not continue to indulge in the fake shopping. She decided to seize the time and walk around Tokyo. First, change clothes for boys. It's okay, it's a dream. It's a dream. After mentally preparing herself, Aona Koizumi got out of bed and opened the closet. What appeared in front of her was not clothes, but a small rectangular room. The lights were bright, and there were 2 rows on the left and right, all kinds of clothes. On the closet, there were belts, buttons, watches, and other items. Aona Koizumi opened her mouth in surprise as she walked into this dreamlike country. Her hand brushed over one piece of clothing after another, and each one was brand new. At the end, there was a full-body mirror. For the first time, Aona Koizumi saw herself in her dream. It was perfectly in line with her own requirements of looking stunning, even forgetting to breathe for a moment, and casually joking with you. The corners of her eyes are slightly raised, revealing a sense of carefreeness, and no one can guess what she is thinking. "So handsome. I like you. Mua. Aona Koizumi pouted, and kissed the mirror desperately. Unconsciously, She almost stuck out her tongue. But just as she was about to stick it out and lick the mirror, she suddenly woke up. No, this kind of good thing should be done by the future me. Chapter 239. This body would only appear in his dreams. White shirt, black trousers, too tempting. Aona Koizumi uncontrollably swallowed her saliva, slightly unbuttoned the shirt collar, lowered her head and peeked inside. After a while, she guiltily closed the door of the dressing room. About an hour later, Aona Koizumi changed her clothes and walked out of the dressing room. Too real, too amazing. Leaning against the door of the dressing room, she lowered her head and whispered with her red face in her hands. Then, she patted her face twice. Aonai, even in a dream, you can't do that kind of thing. She took a deep breath, sorted out her emotions, threw herself on the bed, and picked up the phone and wallet that she had just thrown on the bed. Tokyo, I'm coming. Standing outside the apartment building, Aona Koizumi covered her forehead with her hand and looked into the distance. Wires stretched across the vast sky, 50-story buildings could be seen everywhere, and the glass on the higher floors reflected the charming light. Aona Koizumi put down her hand and excitedly walked into Tokyo in early April. After walking for only 2 minutes, before she even saw a movie theater, a large shopping mall, or a clothing and shoe store, her attention was attracted by a coffee shop. Looking in from the wall-like display window, she saw a wooden table, a leisurely sofa, and exquisite potted plants. It was simply like the place where the male and female lead first met in a movie. She tiptoed and pushed the door open to enter. Welcome. The exquisitely made-up waitress slightly bowed to her. Aona Koizumi looked at the waitress. The composition was very delicate, and there was no blur in it. Amazing! Even a random coffee shop can be so clear. Thinking about whether or not she could write a novel about Aonai in Tokyo, she followed the waitress to the window seat. The sofa was very comfortable, and the sunlight outside the window just happened to reach here. On the wooden table, there was a delicate bamboo basket with sugar and other things in it, and the atmosphere was very fashionable. What would you like? The waitress asked. Aona Koizumi thought about it. She originally wanted to learn from the Tokyo people and order, but her mind was empty, so in the end she picked up the menu. On the menu, every type of coffee looked delicious, and every type of dessert looked delicious. After hesitating for a while, she said, "Please give me a cup of mixed coffee, and also, macarons, caramel pudding." "Okay, please wait a moment." "Thank you." Aona Koizumi smiled expectantly. She patted the armrest of the sofa and bent over to pick up the sugar jar. When she opened the lid and looked inside, she noticed that the waitress was still standing beside her in a daze. Stuck. Koizumi Aonai was slightly disappointed. Dreams really have their limits. The waitress came back to Tokyo. The waitress, with red ears. She quickly left. "You're back again?" Koizumi Aonai looked strangely at her back as she walked away. "Forget it." Her expression returned to normal. Humming a song, she took out her phone and took a selfie. She photoshopped a pink heart on the photo and sent it to herself. Herself replied, "What's the matter? Do you like it? What nonsense are you talking about? Teacher is going to be angry. Teacher is going to be angry. Teasing me seems very interesting." Aona Koizumi tilted her head slightly, took a picture of the side of her face, and sent it over. In this picture, there was a charming and cold side profile, a sexy jawline, a sexy Adam's apple, and a sexy curve of her collarbone. It would definitely tempt her heart. Who asked her to know her likes and dislikes the best? She had licked his collarbone just now. Nothing at all. Her fingers pressed on the virtual keyboard awkwardly, and she typed a sentence. "Teacher, my neck is itchy. Can you help me take a look?" After a long while, the other party finally replied with a message. "I can't see anything wrong, don't worry." "Humph, hypocrite, you must have zoomed in on it for a long time and saved it." Aona Koizumi said with disdain. Just as she was about to expose her true identity, 2 fashionably dressed girls in the shop walked over. The girl wearing a thin pink sweater said, "May I know your name?" Aona Koizumi was stunned. "Hit on me? This is hitting on me? Tokyo is really Tokyo. Of course." She revealed a bright smile. "My name is..." What's her name again? She only knew that her surname was Watanabe. As soon as the question came up, her brain automatically gave her the answer. When her working self drove back to the apartment, there was only one person with the surname Watanabe in the class of 40 people. Asama Tabuya, Ishikawa Kinai, Wada Yasuhisa, Toru Watanabe. My name is Toru Watanabe. Aona Koizumi didn't think that it was because of her excellent memory. At that time, she was sitting in the front passenger seat and only glanced at it out of curiosity. How could she remember it? This must be the self-improvement of the dream world. The 2 girls stood there in a daze, just like the waitress. Again. It seems that talking to people will overload the dream world. It's better to talk less. At this time, the waitress brought coffee and desserts. The 2 girls came back to their senses and asked Aona Koizumi for a line, but she ignored them. If the dream world collapsed because of talking and she didn't get to eat the desserts in front of her, she would be sad for the whole day on the first day of class tomorrow. She happily and blissfully focused on eating the desserts. When she came back to her senses, the 2 girls were already gone. When she came out of the coffee shop, the color of dusk had already appeared on the horizon. Aona Koizumi took the time to visit all kinds of shops. There were weird Russian doll stores, exquisite handmade grocery stores, trendy clothing stores. Unfortunately, she could only go to men's clothing stores. There was also a French dessert shop with fragrant aroma on the street. At night, she went to the Tokyo Tower, saw One Piece theme park, and bought souvenirs of the Tokyo Tower. But in the Tokyo Tower, she couldn't see the Tokyo Tower at night. Without the Tokyo Tower, what kind of Tokyo's night scene was it? She went to Roppongi Mound. She didn't take a shower, nor did she take off her clothes. When she was lying on the super big white bed, she was so satisfied that she could die without regrets. I have to go to school after waking up from the dream. I want to continue sleeping. She closed her eyes and forced herself to stay awake. She took out her phone to wake herself up. Today I took a lot of photos. Let's enjoy them. Aona Koizumi opened the photo album on her phone. The first page of the album was filled with all kinds of photos she took today. The Tokyo Tower, the gorgeous night scene, the fast-passing sports car, the Russian doll, the desserts, the hat shop. What's this? This was a completely familiar photo. In it was an extremely beautiful girl wearing a kimono. Her black hair was long and straight, making her envious. As he scrolled forward, he saw another unfamiliar photo. 2 pairs of feet. Soaking in a hot spring? Is that a hot spring or a stream? It's steaming, so it should be a hot spring. In the third photo, this body was hugging the kimono girl from earlier. The background was blooming peach blossoms. So he has a girlfriend. I'm so envious of this girl. She has such a handsome and rich boyfriend. In a daze, she seemed to have scrolled through 2 more photos, but her mind couldn't form a clear picture. The phone slipped from her hand. She fell asleep. Toru Watanabe didn't wake up. April 3rd, early in the morning before the sun rose. Aona Koizumi had a dream, a very, very long dream. It was a dream that made her so shy that she wanted to wake up immediately, but she couldn't control herself. In the dream, she somehow became Watanabe. She touched his body all over and even kissed him crazily in the mirror. In the end, when she woke up, she sat on the bed blankly for a while. She immediately took her clothes and went to the bathroom to take a shower. The bathroom was foggy, and the water flowed down along her seductive curves. Aona Koizumi covered her face with both hands. She thought she was crazy to have such a dream. It was all the fault of the photos that Watanabe suddenly sent her yesterday. That kind of photo was too much. It was just like what she said in the dream when she controlled Toru Watanabe's body. Everything was on point. Wait. Aona Koizumi let go of her hand. The hot water flowed down her wet hair to her temples. The eyes in the middle of her temples were confused and had a hint of panic. Sending the photos, was it a dream, or did it really happen yesterday? Toru Watanabe opened his eyes and saw the bright morning light shining through the curtains. New information. After midnight, even if the 16-year-old Aona Koizumi went back, he wouldn't wake up. He had to hurry. He took his phone and sent a message to Rin Kiyono. Now, he could only rely on Dola A to prevent Koizumi Aonai from being exposed. Only then would he have a slight chance of hiding it from Kujio Meiji. Just as Toru Watanabe finished typing the message and was about to send it, a red warning suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. Hint: for the sake of the player's gaming experience, deliberate disclosure of information is prohibited. My gaming experience is... No swearing, I won't swearing. Toru Watanabe fell on the bed. He held his forehead and closed his eyes. Thinking about it carefully, from the water of imperial tea incident to the Tokyo handsome guy, without any explanation, the system should have already predicted this. He could let others rely on him, but he couldn't rely on anyone or anything. He could only rely on himself. Toru Watanabe was about to send a message to Miki Kujo, but after thinking about it, he changed it to a phone call. The phone rang for a while. Toru, do you know what time it is? The question was asked, but the tone was calm. There wasn't any intention to ask, but it was filled with anger. Miki Kujo really didn't wake up. If he sent a message and received a reply, Toru Watanabe would no longer be Toru Watanabe, but Aona Koizumi. Miki, when are you coming to class? What's up? I miss you a little. Next week. A week later, Toru Watanabe breathed a sigh of relief. With Kiyono's ability, even if Year 2 Aona Koizumi became Toru Watanabe was unreasonable. A week should be enough for her to notice that something was wrong. As long as she noticed that something was wrong, then he wouldn't reveal it. At that time, he could ask her to help take care of Aona Koizumi, who was lecherous, likes to spend money, and doesn't have a normal brain. Make Aona Koizumi stop laughing. Don't talk to girls so casually. Teach her how to act as Toru Watanabe. But what if Rin Kiyono thought that he was just fooling around, or even if she noticed something was wrong, she wouldn't believe it? He only had a week. When Miki Kujo came back, Aona Koizumi would be fine, but what would happen to Aona Koizumi next door? At that time, if he wasn't there, who could stop Miki Kujo? All of his methods were restricted by the system. Now, he could only believe in God. Toru Watanabe got up to take a shower. When he took off his clothes, he remembered what Aona Koizumi did to his body yesterday. When Aona Koizumi was young, she was actually that kind of girl. He remembered that she said that she started to work hard in her second year of high school and finally got into Waseda University. It took 10 years for Aona Koizumi to become the gentle Aona Koizumi. Toru Watanabe didn't find it strange, but what happened that made Aona Koizumi suddenly study hard and get into Waseda University? Was it because of this? Then why doesn't Aona Koizumi have any memory of this? While he was thinking, Toru Watanabe took a shower and changed into his school uniform. Since he couldn't leak the news, he gave up the idea of looking for Aona Koizumi and went to school alone. On the way, he refunded all the things that Aona Koizumi bought. It had nothing to do with the money, mainly because they were useless. For example, foot care cream, no fragrance, suitable for feet, suitable for very dry skin, 3 ounces. What was he going to do with it? He liked feet, but they were Kiyono, Miki, and Mai's feet. That kind of natural beauty didn't need any skincare products. They took the same main force line, climbed the same hill at the same speed, and greeted the teachers and classmates in the same way. During the morning class meeting, Toru Watanabe noticed that Aona Koizumi's gaze always avoided him, but when he looked away, she would look at him again. If she didn't remember, it must be because of the photos in the infirmary yesterday. He didn't think that Aona Koizumi would like that, but the infirmary. Toru Watanabe wanted to die. After the morning class meeting, there was a 10-minute break. Toru Watanabe subconsciously turned around and looked at Rin Kiyono behind him. She was reading a book, Yu Meirin Grass, by Natsume Soseki. Looking at Rin Kiyono, who was close by, Toru Watanabe thought about how she would be in the same class as him for the next year. He didn't know why, but he felt happy. There was also Miki Kujo. How many things would happen between the three of them? Quarreling during class? Scolding each other with notes in class? He even stood up, crossed his arms, and argued in front of the teacher who was in class? If that happened, he could only step forward to stop the fight and apologize. The more he thought about it, the more he looked forward to it. He clearly rejected it yesterday, but today he felt a little happy. However, that was on the premise that he safely passed April. Kun Watanabe? Kun Watanabe. What's the matter? Toru Watanabe looked at Aoya Chiki, who was sitting in front of Rin Kiyono. If you keep staring at Kiyono, your eyes will fall to the ground. Osamu Kanai, who was sitting in the first group, mocked. Who's looking at her? I'm thinking about something. Kanai, let me tell you, friends are friends, but you can't just slander me. He's anxious. Watanabe is anxious. Keisuke Saito, who was sitting in the middle of the second group, stood up and pointed at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe also stood up and walked towards the two. He clenched his left hand into a fist and cracked his knuckles with his right hand. He hit someone. Watanabe is angry. Watanabe is peeking at Kiyono. It was the first day of school, and the people in the class were not familiar with each other, but when they saw the three of them, they all laughed. Rin Kiyono looked up from her book and glanced at Toru Watanabe, who was bullying a male student, and the corner of her mouth raised into a smile. The first class, physics. Tetsumesa Watanabe was reviewing Coulomb's law with the teacher. Suddenly, he felt sleepy, and the pen in his hand drew a zigzag arc on the notebook. Here it comes again. Aona Koizumi blinked. The dream will continue? The teacher stopped teaching, and everyone in the classroom looked over. Chapter 240. No, this isn't a dream. Aona Koizumi suddenly stood up, her chair bouncing off her calves. Of course this isn't a dream, Watanabe-san. The physics teacher said with a straight face. Ha ha ha. The classroom was filled with laughter, two of which were particularly loud and ear-piercing. The laughter was clearly very close, but Aona Koizumi felt that it was very far away. Yesterday, she vaguely felt that something was wrong. How could a dream be so realistic? But other than a dream, what other explanation could there be? Didn't she wake up once in the middle of the dream? Watanabe-san, how long are you going to stand there for? Aona Koizumi came back to her senses, and out of instinct as a student towards a teacher, she immediately apologized. I'm sorry. She sat down absent-mindedly. Girls, don't look. Continue with the class. Another burst of laughter. Coulomb's law applies when the field source charge is stationary and the field source charge is moving, but it doesn't apply to. Sure enough, this was reality. She had never heard of Coulomb's law, so how could it appear in a dream? So, the boy named Toru Watanabe was a real person? Then where was his consciousness? Was he asleep? Or was he watching from inside his body? Or did he go somewhere else? Aona Koizumi thought of the ear-piercing laughter just now. School bullying between boys? To avoid reality? So that she could redeem him? What kind of light novel was this? That's right, if she wrote this down, maybe it could be published, or even made into a movie. Aona Koizumi got over the initial panic. Not only was she not distressed, but she also felt that it was fun. Anyway, she could go back, and she would be sleeping. She would have twice as much time to play, and it was Tokyo. Tokyo, no matter how she thought about it, was not a bad thing. She flipped through the notebook in her hand. The handwriting was neat, and the notes were clear and orderly. It was a physics notebook that could be placed in a museum. She looked at the blackboard while secretly rummaging through the drawers. Finally, she found a notebook that was not a class notebook. There were steps for calculating math problems, and occasionally an English word or sentence. Most of the time, there were various characters that she could not understand. It should be some kind of language. Compared to the class notes, this book was written much more casually. The words were written crookedly, in reverse, or upside down. There were also many who only wrote half of the words. As he flipped through the pages, a page with an abrupt style appeared. The handwriting was also clearly different. It read, "Female voice actors cast their votes, Toyosaki AI, 2 votes, Kakura Yui, 1 vote, Nanamizuki, 1 vote, Tasong Yao, 1 vote, Sakura Iane, 2 votes. What is this? Pervert. After class, 3 boys came over to her. Watanabe, it's not like you to sleep in class, the boy with glasses said. Will the dream continue? A skinny boy pinched his throat and imitated. No, this isn't a dream. The boy with the buzz cut pretended to cover his chest with his hands, and his voice was particularly loud. The two of them burst out laughing at the same time. Hey, the two of you, don't go too far. The short-haired girl sitting on the right side reprimanded. Kun Watanabe must have stayed up all night to prepare for class, so he fell asleep in class. Isn't that right, Kun Watanabe? Facing the girl's trusting gaze, Aona Koizumi scratched the back of his neck. That's right. Look. The short-haired girl proudly looked at the 3 boys. You believe this? You also believe this? Aona Koizumi wasn't the only one who had doubts. Other than the boy with glasses, the other 2 also had a hard-to-accept expression. That's obviously a lie. It's Suki classmate. The buzz-cut boy's loud voice. Why did it feel like there was a hint of sadness? Sigh. The skinny boy exaggeratedly sighed, full of complaints to the world. Kun Watanabe wouldn't lie, right, Kiyono classmate? The short-haired girl called it Suki turned her head to the girl behind her to seek agreement. Aona Koizumi followed the short-haired girl's line of sight and also looked over. Lustrous black hair, a delicate neck, and fair skin. Even though she was wearing the same student uniform, she looked so different from the rest. Beautiful girl. Super beautiful girl. Aona Koizumi held her breath. This place, is it really a dream? Do you know how to lie? The beautiful girl looked over. Her voice was cold and pleasant to listen to, and she also looked at Aona Koizumi with the same cold gaze, faintly with a hint of a smile and intimacy. Don't look over here. If this continues, even if I'm a girl, I can't help but loudly say, I like you. You're stunned again. Toru Watanabe is stunned again. Ha ha ha. The boy's unbridled ridicule made Koizumi Aonai blush in embarrassment. She sat back in her seat, closed her legs, put her hands on her knees, and lowered her head. Hey, what kind of reaction is that? Are you trying to make me laugh to death? As expected of Toru Watanabe, easily doing things that we can't do. Too disgusting. Today's Kun Watanabe is so cute. Don't say any more. He only likes the beautiful girl. It's not love. After 7 classes, Aona Koizumi finally understood some things, including the names of the buzzcut boy, the other 2, and the short-haired girl. Of course, the name of the beautiful girl was indispensable. Rin Kiyono. When she heard this name for the first time, she immediately thought of the line she posted yesterday. If they have contact information, their relationship shouldn't be bad, right? No, even if classmates have contact information, they might be enemies. Koizumi Aonai stopped tidying up her textbook and peeked behind her right. The beautiful girl just happened to glance at her, so she hurriedly turned her head back. She carelessly stuffed her textbooks into her bag, blushing and her heart beating faster. Aona Koizumi thought of the shoujo manga she read. The girls would call the girl they admired Big Sister. Would she be able to become a close sister with this beautiful girl? Big Sister. She looked at herself with a face full of worship. Aonai. Kiyono's big sister's eyes were as warm as the spring sun. Such a scene made Koizumi Aonai's heart beat violently. What are you doing? Big sister was dissatisfied. Her voice was also very pleasant to hear. Let's go. Hi. Koizumi Aonai replied with a loud and sharp voice. Big sister looked at her coldly. When you went out this morning, did you leave your head at home? Wow, what a poisonous tongue. Aona Koizumi's overflowing love for the beautiful girl slowed down a little. Before she could say anything, the beautiful girl had already packed her things, got up, put down the chair, and walked towards the back door. Koizumi Aonai hurriedly put her homework into her bag and followed him. She was slightly behind the beautiful girl by 2 steps. Elegant long hair, slender waist, slender legs, especially the side of her face, perfect jawline. She really wanted to bite her neck. Aona Koizumi could only accept hugs from her future self, but if she had to kiss her big sister's neck and leave a beautiful and cruel kiss mark, she wouldn't hate it at all. She slowly pulled open the bow on her chest, unbuttoned her white shirt, and put it on her blushing big sister's neck. Wait a minute, I just thought of an incredible word. Future self? Is this really the future? Did I really get into Waseda University? No, Waseda University doesn't matter. Now is not the time to think about this. I have to quickly check the lottery and horse betting. If possible, I should also memorize the questions for the Unified exam and Tokyo University exam in 2 years. Your future is bright, Aonai. Admiring her big sister's jawline and imagining a beautiful future, she unknowingly came to a completely unfamiliar place. There was a wide double door, and the sign on the door said, Music Room. When the two of them walked in, there was a surge of noise, but in the next moment, these noises immediately disappeared. Everyone turned to look at him. Aona Koizumi's throat began to dry up, and she didn't know where to look. She has never been surrounded by so many people before. In the crowd, an average-looking girl, but she looked very comfortable, stepped forward. Kiyono classmate, Kun Watanabe. Koizumi Aonai smiled nervously as an answer. At that moment, the originally quiet music room became even quieter. Then, it became extremely noisy. So handsome. So charming. Kun Watanabe must be in a good mood today. If I stay with Kun Watanabe again, I won't be able to control myself. The comfortable-looking girl came back to her senses, turned around to face the crowd, clapped her hands, and said loudly, Quiet. The music room became quiet again, but the girls were either talking to each other or staring at Aona Koizumi with passionate eyes, making the silence speak louder than words. Rin Kiyono turned around, and coldly glanced at Aona Koizumi. Aona Koizumi felt an indescribable sense of pressure, and her expression became even more stiff. This body, is it really not good to have a relationship with Big Sister? The girl who asked everyone to be quiet, turned around again, and said to Rin Kiyono, Kiyono classmate, why are you here? What's the matter? The club is recruiting new members today. I'll tell you my requirements. Okay. Even if I don't say it, the other groups should be able to recruit people. There are a few instruments that we need to find enough people. Okay. 1 person for the bass saxophone, at least 2 for the tuba, 2 for the bass horn, and lastly the oboe. We must recruit experienced new members. Yes. Even if it's time to recruit new members, the training can't stop, you're in charge. Koizumi Aonai felt that Seino Rin was too handsome. He was calm and collected, and every word and action of his was straightforward and confident. Her eyes stared straight at Rin Kiyono's neck. Watanabe classmate. Hearing no answer, Rin Kiyono turned her face, Watanabe classmate. Aona Koizumi came back to her senses. I'm here, what's the matter? You're in charge of the woodwind group, including the oboe. Is there a problem? Okay. Big sister. Wait a minute, what woodwind? What is she in charge of? Logistics? At this time, someone knocked on the door of the music room. Please come in. An ordinary-looking but comfortable girl responded. Sorry to disturb you. Following a lively and cheerful response, two girls walked in. The one in front had short hair and a petite body. Although petite, her body proportions were perfect, and her legs didn't seem short at all, but rather cute like a doll. The one in the back didn't particularly stand out, and she was quite good-looking. First-year Masanori Horikita, applying to join the trumpet club. The doll girl said loudly. Unlike the bald guy surnamed Koi, who spoke loudly and made people feel noisy, this doll girl named Masanori Horikita only spoke loudly and made people feel cute and want to touch her little head. I'm the head of the trumpet club, Kaoru Hayami. The ordinary-looking but comfortable girl first introduced herself, and then said, Do you want to join directly? Yes. The doll girl said, I want to be an oboe and become an outstanding person like Watanabe, senpai. Kaoru Hayami immediately understood. According to her understanding, during this year's entrance interview, many people's answers were similar to this first-year girl in front of her. Welcome to the trumpet club. After that, she looked at the other first-year girl. Would you like to join the trumpet club as well? Hello, senpai, I'm Linnaeus Kazuho. I'd like to take a look around first, is that okay? Of course. Kaoru Hayami turned around and said to everyone in the trumpet club, Let's begin, there will be more people coming to visit soon. Yes. The crowd dispersed into small groups, and each group was responsible for one instrument. For those who came to visit, it was like entering a shopping mall where there were instrument stores, and they could visit and try to play at will. The doll girl was led to fill out the application form. The girl named Linnaeus Kazuho wanted to visit the flute club, but after taking 2 steps, she was pulled over by another group of senpai. Your admirer has appeared. Rin Kiyono teased Toru Watanabe. Oh. Rin Kiyono frowned slightly as she looked at him, but didn't say anything. She turned around and walked out of the music room, heading towards the human observation department. Aona Koizumi quickly followed. Upstairs, they arrived at the club building and entered the innermost classroom. Aona Koizumi looked at the exaggerated classroom in front of her. Sofa, bookcase, fridge, TV, and many other strange machines were connected to the TV. Is this really a club classroom? Sure enough, it's not only the autumn sky and the politics of the imperial court that change. Yeah. Aona Koizumi looked at Rin Kiyono, who was sitting in a dignified manner, and her mind was full of doubts. What is Big Sister talking about? Forget it. She put her bag on the sofa, walked to the fridge, and opened it expectantly. There were all kinds of desserts that she didn't know the names of, and there were also prepared fruits, colorful and bright like a photograph. She excitedly took a blank plate and placed green grapes, red strawberries, black cherries, and yellow bananas on it. On the other plate, there were macarons, cheesecakes, donuts, and so on. When she closed the fridge door, she took a slice of watermelon. Hee hee. She couldn't help but laugh excitedly. Aona Koizumi sat across from Rin Kiyono. Big sister. Kiyono-san, let's eat together. She invited her. Rin Kiyono looked up from her book and looked at her. Thank you, but it's okay. Do you want to maintain your figure? Aona Koizumi held a donut in her left hand and a strawberry in her right. You're very noisy today. Rin Kiyono continued to read. Aona Koizumi glanced at her unhappily. I was kind enough to give it to you, but you think I'm noisy? I don't want to be your sister anymore. In the midst of eating, reading manga, and playing games, it was soon time for school to end. Aona Koizumi followed Rin Kiyono out of the human observation department. It was a sea of red outside, and the melodious sound of musical instruments could be heard clearly. Rin Kiyono locked the door, and the two of them walked towards the school building, preparing to go downstairs and change into shoes. Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono's tone was calm. What's the matter? Aona Koizumi admired her back. She was so beautiful. Her legs that were exposed from her spring uniform were unusually white. Her hair was neat and tidy, and her cherry-colored nails were neatly trimmed. Every part of her body looked like the result of God's careful design. If only she could be as beautiful as her. Aona Koizumi was lost in her thoughts when Rin Kiyono, who was walking in front of her, suddenly stopped. The two of them were about to step onto the elevated walkway. Rin Kiyono was in the red sunset, and Aona Koizumi was in the shadow of the club building. "What's wrong? Did you forget to take something?" Aona Koizumi asked as she looked at her back. Rin Kiyono turned around, her back facing the setting sun, and her beautiful face fell into darkness. "Who are you?" Chapter 241. The setting sun was like a fire, burning all of Tokyo. Among the familiar sounds of musical instruments, there was suddenly a crisp sound. It was the sound of a metal bat hitting a baseball. What did you say?" Aona Koizumi replied in a panic. "Where did Watanabe go?" "What did you say?" "How? Answer me." Rin Kiyono's voice was lower than usual, slightly heavier than usual. His face was backlit, she couldn't see his expression, but little Aonai felt a huge pressure. Her throat was dry, she couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. The cold wind of early April blew through the corridor on the 5th floor, dancing Rin Kiyono's long hair, slightly lifting her skirt, and pouring into her collar and sleeves. But she didn't care about the lifted skirt, the wind pouring into her clothes couldn't make her feel any colder. Right now she only wanted to know one thing. Toru Watanabe, where did you go?" Rin Kiyono took a step forward, into the shadows of the club building. Without the light, Aona Koizumi could finally see the face of the girl in front of her. Cold, deathly pale, her hands tightly gripping the straps of her backpack. Anger, surprise, fear. Aona Koizumi was stunned to see her like this. Although she had only known Rin Kiyono for a day, her impression of Rin Kiyono's calmness and coldness was deeply engraved in her heart. This kind of Rin Kiyono, at this time, showed the expression of a child who lost her parents. Koizumi Aonai recalled an incident from a long time ago. When she was young, her grandmother raised a cat. After her grandmother died, her father, who didn't like cats, was prepared to abandon it. Her father was riding a bicycle, holding a cardboard box. She was sitting on the back of the bicycle. Inside the cardboard box was the cat that was about to be abandoned. They walked for a long time. To her at that time, it was as far as another country. The cat and the cardboard box were abandoned on the side of the road. When her father brought her back, the cat kept chasing behind them. The father rode with all his might, and the cat tried its best to catch up. Finally, the father got tired and stopped the bicycle. He picked up the cat and said, "Let's go back." This incident happened when she was almost 4 years old. She had clearly forgotten about it long ago, but now, it suddenly and clearly appeared in her mind. The Rin Kiyono in front of her reminded her of the cat who was desperately chasing after the bicycle. "Let's go back." Her father's words when he was hugging the cat rang in her ears again. Koizumi Aonai made the same choice as her father and said, "I'm sorry, I don't know where he went, but he must still be around." "He didn't leave you." "I came to this body during the first class in the morning, when I said, 'This is not a dream,' in physics class." After hearing her words, the beautiful girl in front of her seemed to calm down a little. Then, she frowned again. That action was so beautiful that it made one's heart ache. Aona Koizumi even wanted to walk over and help her smooth it out. "Who are you?" Rin Kiyono asked again. "My name is Aona Koizumi. I'm 16 years old. I think I came from the past." Aona Koizumi answered in an uncertain voice. "Aona Koizumi?" "Yes." Aona Koizumi nodded. She looks very similar to Toru Watanabe's English teacher. Her two friends, Fujiki Hiroko and Miyuki Miyazaki, are also my current classmates, but we don't have a good relationship. Coming from the past to the present, the body you're occupying is still. In the corridor, a few people from the calligraphy department came out carrying buckets of water. Listening to their conversation, it seemed that when they were recruiting new students, a first-year student spilled ink on the floor. They were going to clean it up before going back. Rin Kiyono looked away from them and subconsciously gave Toru Watanabe a look, indicating that they should continue their conversation outside the school. Then, she remembered again. In front of her, there was only the body of the man named Toru Watanabe. The person who could read her eyes was no longer there. Just like the sunset in front of her eyes, it was orange-red like fire, but it didn't have any warmth. "Let's go," she said in a low voice and walked toward the school building. "Oh, okay." Aona Koizumi quickly followed. When they arrived at the shoe cabinet, Aona Koizumi awkwardly looked at Rin Kiyono. "This." Rin Kiyono pointed to Toru Watanabe's shoe cabinet. "Thank you, Kiyono classmate." Koizumi Aonai hurriedly opened the cabinet. With a crash, a pile of letters fell out like a tide. "What is this?" Aona Koizumi was flustered. She thought that she wouldn't be able to catch it, but who knew that there was such a big pile of letters, but not a single one fell to the ground. "Love letters." Rin Kiyono put on her shoes. "Also, from now on, you are not allowed to laugh." "Not allowed to laugh? Why?" "This is the reason." Rin Kiyono pointed to the big pile of love letters. In the past, Toru Watanabe would only receive love letters in the morning from a few fanatical fans. Today, because Aona Koizumi had laughed many times, many girls couldn't control their urge to confess their love. After changing her shoes and leaving Kamigawa, Rin Kiyono brought Aona Koizumi to her apartment. Aona Koizumi told Rin Kiyono everything she knew. As for kissing in the mirror and 1-hour changing room, she definitely wouldn't say anything, and she definitely couldn't let a second person know about it. From what you said, plus the fact that it was indeed Toru Watanabe before today's physics class, I can roughly conclude that as long as you fall asleep, you will enter Watanabe's body. Yes, yes. Aona Koizumi nodded. But, Rin Kiyono pressed her right index finger against her lower lip. "Watanabe should have been the first to discover his situation. Why didn't he tell me?" She seemed to be talking to herself, so Aona Koizumi decided not to interrupt. After a while, Rin Kiyono said to her again, "I have something to say to Watanabe. Can I trouble you to sleep? That is, wake up from the past." "I don't know if I can do it." "Let's try." "Okay. Wait a minute." "What's the matter?" Rin Kiyono slightly frowned. The Toru Watanabe in front of her, although there was no change in her appearance, but every movement, even the opening and closing of her lips when she spoke, made her feel extremely uncomfortable. This had nothing to do with Aona Koizumi herself. What she hated was the fact that someone was using Toru Watanabe's body. That Aona Koizumi said, "I don't know if I can come back, so I want to look at the lottery, horse betting, and the exam questions in 2 years. Use your phone to search for the lottery and horse betting. I'll go get the questions for you." Rin Kiyono walked towards the study room. Aona Koizumi found that her memory had become particularly good, complex numbers and so many exam questions, she was able to memorize them all in a short while. "How can I be so good?" she couldn't help but boast. "Hurry up and start." Rin Kiyono could probably guess the reason, but she wasn't in the mood to explain. She just wanted to see that person again as soon as possible. Aona Koizumi got what she wanted, so she lay down on the sofa in satisfaction, ready to let this body sleep and wake herself up. This process took about 10 minutes, a long time, but not insomnia. During this time, Rin Kiyono was expressionless, her eyebrows were lowered, and she looked very calm. But from the moment Koizumi Aonai laid on the sofa, she hugged her elbows with both hands and leaned against the wall. She did not change her posture at all until Watanabe opened his eyes. "Maybe, Toru Watanabe didn't move from the sofa. I need a knee pillow to fall asleep." "Get up," Rin Kiyono coldly reprimanded. After failing to play dumb, Toru Watanabe sat up and said with a smile, "Nagai Kazuko was right, it's not only the autumn sky, the politics of the imperial court, but also a woman's heart." Just now when he wasn't there, Rin Kiyono was nervous and uneasy. This time when he came back, she didn't even let him lie down on the sofa. Isn't this the fickle heart of a woman? Rin Kiyono's face was cold, she ignored his proud expression. What's going on? I want to know what's going on. Toru Watanabe sighed. That day, oh, it was yesterday, when I came back from school, Koizumi-sensei, the one in the school, asked me what I was going to write on the survey, and then we talked about Tokyo handsome men. She asked me what a Tokyo handsome guy was, and I wanted to tell her about my life, but in the next second, a 16-year-old Koizumi Aonai took over my body. How could such a strange thing happen? Isn't it good? Toru Watanabe said. Good. Rin Kiyono looked at him and sneered sarcastically. Do you like Aona Koizumi, or do you like being taken over by a girl? It has nothing to do with those. Toru Watanabe said with a smile. You see, you can see through the lies. When I communicated with her, both of us were abnormal. Without waiting for Rin Kiyono to speak, Toru Watanabe continued, This feeling was like the first day of a winter trip, when we went to an experiential learning class. Experiential learning class. At that time, all the students in the 4 classes were there. Everyone was talking about artificial respiration, and the 2 of us secretly used our mobile phones to send messages. Rin Kiyono recalled the scene at that time and couldn't help but smile. The first sentence you sent me was that you hoped something would happen to me. You must have remembered wrongly. I also recited a poem to you. How could I hope something would happen to you? What poem did you recite? Rin Kiyono asked, even though she already knew the answer. A short song from 10,000 Leaves. Beautiful young man, when you're not here, the girl misses you. When you come back, she'll dislike you. 10,000 Leaves doesn't have this sentence. Rin Kiyono said lightly. There is. Toru Watanabe said seriously. I memorized 10,000 Leaves completely, believe me. What's the next sentence of I know for 8 years? I've secretly crossed. What's the previous sentence of Wu Yu Jun Sure? Rin Kiyono continued to ask. By the side of the Yamada Fu Marsh, Toru Watanabe replied. What's the next sentence of the fire only sighs from the bottom of my heart? Still hoping for sorrow or to be enlightened. Toru Watanabe, classmate, do you still insist that 10,000 Leaves has that sentence you said? See, I didn't lie to you, did I? I really did memorize 10,000 Leaves. You can't go wrong believing me. Toru Watanabe's tone was relaxed. Rin Kiyono put her hand on her forehead and slowly sighed. The living room was quiet and filled with a peaceful atmosphere. Kiyono classmate. What's the matter now? Don't tell me that the 10,000 Leaves you read is different from the 10,000 Leaves I read. It has nothing to do with 10,000 Leaves, she's going to. Before she could finish, Toru Watanabe fell asleep. In the next moment, she suddenly opened her eyes. Why are you back? Rin Kiyono's expression turned cold. It's early in the morning over there, so I'm too sleepy. Aona Koizumi said, How was it? After discussing for so long, did you and Toru Watanabe come to any conclusions? Rin Kiyono blinked her eyes and her expression eased a little. I know the cause of the matter, but I can't be 100% sure. What's the cause? Hurry up and tell me. It's because the current you wants to understand the daily life of the Tokyo handsome guy, so you transmigrated and entered Watanabe's body to experience his life. Tokyo handsome guy? Is he one of those scumbags who relies on his good looks to have a foot in several boats and live a luxurious life? After listening to her words, Rin Kiyono smiled. This was the first time that Aona Koizumi saw her smile, and it was even more charming than the night view of Tokyo. No, perhaps this was the real night view of Tokyo. Everyone's understanding of Tokyo handsome guy is different. Rin Kiyono said. Then what's Toru Watanabe's understanding of it? Rin Kiyono thought back to the beginning of May last year, when she was standing in front of the office door and listening to Toru Watanabe talk about Tokyo handsome guy for the first time. 1. Be handsome enough. 2. Always keep 30% of your mystery to others. 3. Do what you should do. 4. Have the confidence to do anything. 5. Be mentally prepared to be stabbed at any time. Aona Koizumi listened blankly. What's all this? What exactly is Tokyo handsome guy? Rin Kiyono looked at the Toru Watanabe in front of her. If it was the real person, he would definitely not have such an expression. From a long time ago, Rin Kiyono felt that Toru Watanabe was abnormal. Let's not talk about his feelings of joy, but she almost never saw him afraid. Even if on the surface he looked like a yes-man, with a submissive appearance, she could see through lies and clearly knew whether or not he was afraid. No. Even if he was facing Miki Kujo. This was also the reason why she said that Toru Watanabe did not put anyone in his eyes and looked down on everyone. Compared to Tokyo handsome guy, you have more important things to do. Rin Kiyono said. What things? Aona Koizumi asked subconsciously. Don't let anyone discover your secret. Is there an evil scientist who wants to capture me for research? Are we actually people with superpowers? Evil but not a scientist. Rin Kiyono had no interest in Aona Koizumi's jumpy thoughts. You need to pay attention to a woman called Miki Kujo. Miki? Beautiful princess? She and Tokyo handsome guy can't be a couple, right? Rin Kiyono's expression became cold, and then she smiled without any warmth. Yes, they are a couple. Rin Kiyono's expression was undeniably oppressive. Aona Koizumi secretly glanced at her and carefully said, Are you jealous? You are now using Toru Watanabe's brain. Your memory should be better than a chicken's. I just said more important things. Did you forget it so quickly? Wani-sama, please say it. Sure enough, she was jealous. With Miki Kujo's personality, once she knows that you have taken over her boyfriend's body, she will definitely kill you. Kill? That's impossible, right? That person's personality is very bad, and she likes to get jealous, and she is very possessive. According to what you just said, you used Toru Watanabe's body to go to the toilet, change your clothes, and you have seen everything. What do you think will happen to you? It was more than just seeing. Aona Koizumi once again made up her mind to permanently block the 1-hour changing room. For the sake of your future, you must listen to everything I say. Rin Kiyono said firmly. Then what should I do first? When Miki Kujo appears, you must immediately wake up and change into Toru Watanabe. Aona Koizumi thought for a while. That's fine, when do they usually meet? She will sit behind you. How is that possible? I can't stay awake forever, right? This is the safest way. Rin Kiyono said. No, even if I don't like to study, I can't sleep during the day, and who knows if she will come here to sleep during the day. Rin Kiyono pondered for a moment. That's true. Is that right? Then there is only one way. You must act as Toru Watanabe well, and if you can avoid talking to Miki Kujo, try not to talk to her. Are you exaggerating? Aona Koizumi didn't believe it. With your IQ, she will suspect you after 3 sentences, and you will be imprisoned after 10 sentences. After saying this, Rin Kiyono added, I'm sorry, I only speak the truth, and I'm not scolding you. Speaking the truth was worse than scolding someone. Chapter 242. Let's not talk about whether she was stupid or not. Go ahead. Aona Koizumi sat on the sofa with her feet pressed together. She looked at Rin Kiyono as if she was ready to listen to a story. Rin Kiyono looked at her unconsciously playing with Toru Watanabe's toes. First of all, how do you address Miki Kujo? Little May, Miki, and Kasa-san. Oh. Aona Koizumi nodded. To other people, you will use my Miki or my Kasa-san, especially when rejecting girls. You're quite loyal, as expected of my student. Ha ha ha. Rin Kiyono glanced at her, leaned against the wall, and continued speaking in a clear voice. Toru Watanabe has another lover. Aona Koizumi was stunned. After 2 seconds, she confirmed, "Lover?" "Don't worry," Rin Kiyono said casually. "My Asahi likes Toru Watanabe so much that she can't be saved. As long as Toru Watanabe comes out and tells her, she won't care about you at all. If that's the case, then I'll—" No. How can I be a lover? A lover is equivalent to a lover or a couple, but you can't give them a formal title or promise. Toru Watanabe will occasionally say something like this. "You have to read more books these 2 days." Aona Koizumi scratched the back of her neck and said awkwardly, "You've said so much, but I don't know what to do." Rin Kiyono thought for a while, "Then let's start from the beginning. I'll tell you everything that happened after Toru Watanabe came to Tokyo." Aona Koizumi said unhappily, I want to go out and play. How about we talk while we play?" She looked at the large glass wall in the living room. Outside the wall, the sun had already set. The streetlights and speeding cars were like blood flowing through the veins of eastern Kyoto. "Your grades are bad, right?" Rin Kiyono said with certainty. "What does it have to do with grades? And it's not that bad, just a little bit more than the average. What's there to be proud of about the average score of a rural public school? I will be admitted to Waseda University in the future." Rin Kiyono rubbed his chin and muttered, "I understand." "Do you understand?" Aona Koizumi put her hands on her hips and said proudly, "My grades aren't good because I'm not serious. As long as I'm serious, there's nothing I can't do. I heard that you only started working hard in your 2nd year of high school. It should be because of my teachings that you came to the future." That, Aona Koizumi raised her hand. "My dear sister, have I ever told you that you're very narcissistic? I'm 2nd in the country. I have no more questions." Aona Koizumi put down her hand. Rin Kiyono put down her hand and walked to the sofa. Aona Koizumi moved her butt and patted the empty space, indicating that Rin Kiyono should sit there. Rin Kiyono ignored her and sat on the single-seater sofa. She told the 16-year-old Aona Koizumi about Toru Watanabe. "I don't remember the exact time, but it was probably in April. On a certain day when spring was coming, I was writing a submission to the Literature and Art Department, and Toru Watanabe walked in. Aona Koizumi listened to every sentence without much interest, but the more she listened, the more serious she became. She bent her knees and sat on the sofa, hugging a pillow and resting her chin on it. When she heard that the Human Observation Department was called to the office by herself, the future Aona Koizumi, for submitting a submission to the Literature and Art Department, she laughed out loud. Toru Watanabe's feet were kicked by her happily. "This is so interesting." She gasped and wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes with her palms. "You too weren't hunted down by the Literature and Art Department? Also, my favorite student is actually this scumbag? What kind of taste is that?" After a while, she said angrily, "That Yoshimi Tamamo is a bitch. Watanabe was so kind to help her, but she actually said bad things about him." When Rin Kiyono mentioned the imperial tea, Aona Koizumi nervously hugged the pillow and stared at her without blinking. "I found out about him and Miki Kujo during the winter camping. At that time, we met by chance when we were going to the toilet. He said, 'Can I ask you a question?' I replied, 'I don't think you need to know why someone as beautiful as me needs to go to the toilet. You two are so interesting.'" Aona Koizumi sent a bullet message. After a pause, Rin Kiyono looked at the clock in the living room and said to Aona Koizumi, "Let's call it a day." Koizumi Aonai was dissatisfied and unsatisfied. She let out a sigh. "Call it a day? What did you talk about in the toilet? What happened after that? How did Toru Watanabe make that homicidal maniac, Miki Kujo, like him? How did they become a couple? Don't you have to go to school?" Rin Kiyono asked. "I almost forgot. Go back." "Okay, Wani-sama." Koizumi Aonai put down the pillow, stepped on the floor, stood up, and stretched. "You can sleep here and let Watanabe go back by himself." No need. I still want to try the night taxis in Tokyo. Up to you. Aona Koizumi picked up her bag and turned to walk towards the entrance. Halfway through, she suddenly turned back. I spent a lot of Toru Watanabe's money. He won't ask me to pay it back, right? It doesn't matter. His favorite teacher is you. This amount of money is nothing. Very good, very good. Aona Koizumi patted her head. Good girl. I didn't dote on you for nothing. Rin Kiyono rubbed her temples as she felt a headache coming on. Was it really possible to train Aona Koizumi into Toru Watanabe's personality in a week? Rather than relying on her, it would be better to let Toru Watanabe come out and lick Miki Kujo's shoes. Maybe that would be more effective. April 4th. Early morning. The curtains were closed and the room was dark. Aona Koizumi opened her eyes. The dream will continue? No, this isn't a dream. Of course this isn't a dream, Watanabe-san. What is this? Pervert. Wani-sama. Rin Kiyono under the setting sun, Mayasahi as her lover, Miki Kujo as her tea. During breakfast, Koizumi Aonai looked at Huang Zi and Miyuki Miyazaki and casually said, "Speaking of which, we became close around this time, right?" "Yep." Miki revealed a reminiscing expression and finally nodded in confirmation. "Around this time." Huang Zi tossed a small sausage into her mouth. "Speaking of which, you were the one who took the initiative to find us, Aonai." She then looked at Miki. "Miki, do you still remember what Aonai said to you at that time?" "Yep." "She suddenly found me and said, 'Miyazaki-san, come to Tokyo with me in the future.' Then, she brought me in front of you and hugged the two of us. She said something stupid like, 'From today onwards, the three of us will be best friends.'" "That's right, I was shocked at that time. After all, the three of us weren't familiar with each other at that time." Aona Koizumi listened to the two of them talk about their second year of high school. She had heard it many times, but she didn't have any actual memory of it. She only remembered that by the time she came back to her senses in a daze, a month had already passed in her second year of high school. Huang Zi and Miki were naturally walking by her side. The three of them ate together, went to school together, studied together, and came to Tokyo together. Everything seemed so natural. After breakfast, the three of them washed up and put on makeup, and drove to school. Aona Koizumi was sitting in her office, checking today's class schedule. Class 4 didn't have English class yesterday, but today's fourth period was. "Aonai, what's the matter?" Huang Zi asked worriedly. "You've been absent-minded since this morning. Did you catch a cold?" Aona Koizumi came back to her senses and smiled. "It's nothing. I'm thinking about the class meeting. I'll go to the classroom first." "Okay." She hugged her documents and left the teacher's office. As she walked down the hallway, she could hear the lively voices of students in the classroom. Soon, she arrived at Class 4. "Everyone, return to your seats." As she spoke, she walked to the podium. "Yes," the students answered and returned to their seats. Aona Koizumi looked at the southeast corner of the classroom. Toru Watanabe was playing around with Keisuke Saito and the others as usual. According to yesterday's dream, she will enter his body during the first period. She looked at Rin Kiyono again. Rin Kiyono had just put down her book and was looking at her. The moment the two of them looked at each other, Aona Koizumi remembered her expression under the setting sun, as if she was abandoned by someone. Also, Wani-sama. Aha. She cleared her throat and lowered her head to look at the lesson plan. It's been 2 days since school started. During tonight's class meeting, we will elect our class committee members. If there are any positions that you want to try, you can prepare in advance. There's still a way out. Everyone, hurry up. There are only 7 people who have handed it in. First period, chemistry. Emu, answer the question. How do you test if there's water in alcohol? If there's no water, CuSO4 will turn blue. As soon as Aona Koizumi opened her eyes, she heard Aoi Ichiki's clear female voice. She looked up at the podium. The blackboard was filled with chemistry formulas. The old chemistry teacher, wearing glasses, looked down at the book on the podium and pricked up his ears to listen to Aoi Ichiki's answer. "Well, sit down," the chemistry teacher said without looking up. Student number 28, the conditions for synthesizing ammonia. The boy sitting at the front of the four groups stood up, use iron as a catalyst, control the reaction temperature at, back scratching in class. Koizumi Aonai was nervous. Number 4, what organic compounds are difficult to dissolve in water? The boy with glasses stood up and calmly answered, all kinds of hydrocarbons, halogenated hydrocarbons, nitro compounds, esters, most of them. She didn't understand a single word. Why did they have to come at this time? Aona Koizumi was so nervous that her hands were numb and her toes were clenching the ground. She clearly had a day of classes, but she still had to go to class at night. Can't the Ministry of Education do something about it? One by one, the number of people who weren't called became fewer and fewer. Aona Koizumi felt that she was next every time. Number 39. It's here. Aona Koizumi had seen Toru Watanabe's student handbook last night and knew his student number. Can't you just go to sleep? Toru Watanabe, you bastard, come out. I'll never substitute for you. Steps for the separation and purification of mixtures. The chemistry teacher said the question. She stood up slowly and shyly. Maybe it was because she took a long time, but the chemistry teacher who had been looking down at the lesson plan looked up. Teacher. Aona Koizumi lowered her head and was ready to admit that she didn't know how to do it. Oh, it's Watanabe, sit down. Number 14, you answer. What happened? Forget it, as long as you don't answer the question. Hooray! Aona Koizumi's mood instantly brightened. After class, she wanted to immediately look for Rin Kiyono and continue listening to the story. Just as she stood up, Rin Kiyono looked at her coldly, and she sat back down. All right, I promised to act as Toru Watanabe. How can I let my big sister tell me about Toru Watanabe in the classroom? She looked at the table behind her. The table was new, and the chair was under the table. There was no one there. This was the Kujo's seat. Do I have to sit in front of her in the future? That's too dangerous. I don't know if I can change seats. Aona Koizumi let go, and her body fell from the hoop. She used her right thumb to touch the bridge of her nose. Basketball, it's really simple. After the PE class ended, Class 1 was beaten to a pulp. The girls' voices were almost hoarse from all the shouting. Not bad, Watanabe. I didn't know you were so good at basketball. What kind of special training did you participate in during the winter break? That super long-range three-pointer was too exaggerated. Explosive. Class 1's Iwata was called up by the teacher to demonstrate before the PE class. He was bragging about Kamigawa Rukawa Kid, but he was blocked by you, Watanabe. We'll leave this competition to you. Leave it to me. Aona Koizumi was so proud that she didn't recognize herself anymore. After washing her face and changing her clothes, she still had one last class before lunch break, English. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.